Patreon member shout out. Bill, I love you so, I always will. I look at you and I see the passion, eyes of May, eyes of May. Oh, but am I ever gonna see my wedding day? I was on your side, Bill, when you were loose. Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Welcome, Foster Hilt. I would say hello to Dashi, wherever Dashi is. Hello, Dashi. Yeah. And before we get started, because we have a action-packed episode today, y'all should check out at Hey David Don and at King Mavs Forever on the Twitter. Got the standoff chart and King Mavs and Chavi Cat 5 on the app. You got Kobe Collects and OMI Player 1 on the YouTube. And you have Kobe Collects here on the fridge handle. And you have Powers of X, #1, a comic book on the freezer handle. Who paid for that? Maybe somebody that has a bunch of Power X. Anyway, Kyle Willson, Wendy Stibalis, Golden Assets, Puddin' Cheeks, Veve Las Vegas, Taps Trades, Mars Davis, Legacy of Bermuda, and Sody Pop Bermuda on the YouTube that I subscribe to. And I also follow at EQ_crypto, at Wet Wizard Veve, and Gary O at 1234CA3. We got DerekBrad.com/pages/Veve-photography. Got AfroDroidLegends.com, UStayGlassy.store, WoundedWarriorProject.org, and AffinityHypnotherapy.com.au. Now that my 90-second blurb is over, Foster Hilt, my man, how the fudge are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
Whew, I feel like I need a drink after.
I love, yeah, you got I love that you got the wand. You look like a teacher in class. You're like, all right, children, this is what we learn today.
It's what we learn every day. And that's pretty. I had to stop doing the Patreon member shout outs every half hour, and I had to do them every hour because every half hour
it takes you half an hour to do them. Yeah, your live would just be Patreon member shout outs. You'd get through them, and then you'd be starting the next one. So. Pretty much.
Get the Dashi in there. Get the Dashi in there. Okay, there we go. There you go. So we have had a couple of things happen. Well, I guess since we last talked, but recent news is we've had Puddin' Cheeks over here have, I guess, through the blockchain and through math, kind of estimating the size. We have like anywhere between $1 and $3 million added into the app every single day. And I know you're all about them spreadsheets. Like, Megan Trainer's all about that base. Foster Hill's all about them spreadsheets. What do you make of that? Have you done any math on that, saying, well, if we have this much coming in each day and this many people?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I actually released a video today. It only came out a couple hours ago. And I just basically, I was looking at the charts that Puddin' Cheeks puts out. Shout out to Puddin' Cheeks because it's great information. So for those people that are watching right now that don't know, you can access the spreadsheet. If you just go to Puddin' Cheeks on Twitter, you'll be able to find it. And basically it just goes over all of the gems that are purchased on a daily basis in app, as well as the OMI burn that we see coming out of the reserve in the vault wallet. And I just started to look at the numbers, because I was like, you know what, we're getting such an influx of users coming in. We're seeing all of these collectibles explode in price, but what are the catalysts that are really leading to these things? So I started to look into it a little bit more, and I coined a term, and I called it forced price appreciation, which is kind of weird, but basically the way that I looked at it is, there is so much buy pressure for all of these collectibles right now with the new users onboarding every single day. We have about 20 to 30,000 people onboarding every single day. We have all of these gems being purchased. So yesterday it was 3 million. Today it'll be close to 4 million of gems just being added to the ecosystem. And then you're seeing all these collectibles either being delisted or floors being eaten, that it almost... You're incentivized now to hold a collectible. There's actually less of an upside to sell a collectible, because you sell a collectible and you wake up the next day and it's twice as expensive as it was the night before. So you're almost in a position where you have to pay market fees to sell your collectible. So you're losing out on a percentage. So you're really only going to start to take profits when we're talking big profits at this point, right? To roll it into something else or whatever the case may be. So it's very interesting to see. And as we start to run the numbers, it's going to make a lot of sense that with these market fees, listings are now going to take place more staggered from one another. So in my video, I used Elsa as an example. Let's say Elsa's $5,000. To break even on a $5,000 Elsa purchase, if you're looking to flip, you need to sell it for $5,500. And that's just to break even. So I don't know anyone that buys a collectible to then sell it to break even, right? You're doing it to make a profit. So you buy it for 5,000. Let's say you list it for 6,000. Well, now there may only be 10 collectibles between 5 and 6K. Those get bought up and swept with the floors. And then each of those gets listed higher, and it just moves the whole thing up. And it's why we're really starting to see the gaps in these collectibles and why the floors are getting eaten up so quickly. What's going on, Max?
That's a good point. Yeah, I outside of the 3 that I had sold recently for OMI, I pretty much delisted most of my items. The only ones that I did sell were some other comic books that I didn't really care about. Some of the proceeds I did go to a Tales of Suspense number 57, which
Nice.
Comics and Crypto was like, yeah, I should get that. Cool. And then the other one was the others I've just been stacking gems, just in case. Just in case, because
you're stacking gems long enough until you see a deal on a Loki alligator, and then the gems disappear. So
I restrained myself. There was a common Loki alligator, a sub 100 for like $4.89. And now, granted, this was yesterday when the price was only like $60. And it's like, it's still probably undervalued. If I would have seen that this morning, I probably would have bought it because it was like 130 before it went down. So yeah, then it went down. But either way, I bought yours. I bought your ultra rare.
You did. And then I immediately regretted, because I remember reaching out to you privately, like, hey, Randy, do you want to buy this? And no, I don't have the gems for it right now. And I'm like, okay. And then listed it on the marketplace, and it sat there for a little bit. And then I was like, I'm not following the rule of thumb. It's a sub 100. It should be 4x floor. And then you log off the app for 20 minutes, and then out of nowhere, the floor is double, and you don't adjust things in time. And then I get a screenshot from you showing the alligator, and I'm like, why is he showing me this? I don't care. And I was like, oh my god, it was mine. Mistakes were made. So.
Someone was asking before, have you seen these polls, or I guess they're not polls, they're like petitions, like saying like, give us free access to Disney by buying a Walt, or give us first edition Steamboat Willie.
Change.org petitions. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
how many of those work? Have you seen any of them work?
I've never seen any of them in the community work. I think that there are like social causes and stuff that like get hundreds of thousands of signatures that end up kind of going through whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the great things about this community is that the team at OMI really listens, right? So if something gets rolled out that we don't like, or we don't agree with, or there's an issue with, they may not fix it right away, but they are always listening. And that's one of the things that I love about them. So like a perfect example, Captain America being released as an FA tag, right? And I know John gave you a super chat, or who was it talking about it? General 69 was talking about it with, do you think Steamboat Willie will get FA or no?
Yeah, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the Captain America got rolled out as an FA, or it was going to be released as an FA, and the community was like, well, hold on a second, we have Steve Rogers, we can't have that Captain America be an FA. And the team listened. They were like, you know what, you're right. You're like, hey, we made a mistake or whatever. I think with the Steamboat Willie situation, I know that they've said that they reserve FAs for like likeness of real people. Steamboat Willie is technically a real person. I mean, he's a comic book character, but
what about a first edition, even if they say it's not?
And that's the thing. So I am kind of surprised that he didn't get an FE tag. Now, I'm not everyone knows that's watching this, I'm not the collector, right? Like I've made my mistakes along the way, but when it comes to the kind of the methodology behind it, I could see him getting an FE tag one day. I'm just always hesitant to be the one that pushes that change, because at the end of the day, I own 4 common, 2 uncommon, and 2 ultra rare steamboats. And I feel like if I start pushing for that, people are going to be like, he's just trying to inflate his own bag. So it's such a fine line to walk, but I could see a character like that getting an FE. I don't think Disney would be opposed to it. I think the grading and introduction system is all done by Veve anyways. So I think it'd be good to bring up in an AMA and kind of get a sense of where the team's sitting at. What do you think?
I also think because, the statue that was released in '93, that was, I mean, partners, I think even on the app, it might say like Walt and Mickey, right?
Yes, it does. I believe so. Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. It's like the same thing. It's the same character, but I mean, different character, changed name. I hope, so I think that's the reason why it could be a first edition, because, well, it's actually a different character. One is Steamboat Willie and one is Mickey Mouse. And I feel like that's type of one of the things that that's a loophole to get away with. Like they could be able to do that with Mario. They could release the original, Donkey Kong and Jumpman. It wasn't Mario yet. That's supposedly his dad, and I think that's the way they can give you a bunch of different variations of a bunch of different histories of characters, and not saturating that first.
Yeah, and I mean, and we see that already. Like if you consider the DC collectibles, I mean, Batman. There's like 4 or 5 different FA Batmans, right? We have 2 or even 3 different FA Spider-Mans. Like, isn't Miles Morales an FA as well?
He will be when he gets there. But yeah, the Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, and the Peter Parker, they're all first appearances.
And like the Batman who laughs is an FA.
Yeah.
Todd is an FA.
I think those are only 2.
Oh, is there only 2? Okay.
I think those are the only 2.
But it's a perfect example to show that 2 characters that may not be, identical, but represent the same thing can both have an FA tag. So yeah, I think we might see an FA or an FAT.
Yeah, and we are arguing about Spider-Man. Ben Reilly is a clone of Peter Parker, so he's like the exact same. Like he is the exact same. Like he took his uncle Ben, and then he took Aunt May's maiden name, which was Riley, and he made Ben Reilly, and that's what he called himself. So he's the exact same person. He just changed his name. So if there's anyone that didn't deserve one, it's him. But he got one. So yeah, that was. I thought that was pretty great. Outside of that, we had some OMI price action up to 0.008 before. We're down to 0.078. Have you ever sold any of your stuff for OMI? Or have you just
ever sold any of my collectibles for OMI?
Yeah.
No, so I haven't sold any of my collectibles for OMI in November. Thank God I didn't. I was that would have been the worst. Oh man, I was exploring it at the time. I was sincerely exploring it. And don't get me wrong, like long term, like I'm like the biggest bull when it comes to the OMI token, right? Like just because I don't say that the OMI token is going to go to $10 every video doesn't mean that I don't believe that the OMI token is going to do incredible things, right? It's just I just go about explaining that in a different way, right? But like long term, like the OMI token is going to just do absolutely mind-blowing things. So I did explore that. I explored that option, and I think at the time I was looking to get like 11 million OMI for my whole collection, and I think now, when I did my vault value for my video this afternoon, it's probably fluctuated a little bit, but I think my vault was at like 284K. And let's say the price of OMI is 0.8 just for simple math. And let's pretend I could get floor for everything. And there was a conversion available on the app. Like I get 30 million OMI.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like it's so like now I'm just like, oh, thank God that didn't go through. And I actually, funny enough, I had one guy the other day who I had been speaking to very seriously about buying my collectibles. He reached out to me and he was like, I butchered that one, man. Cause like we were going back and forth on a price and he's like, no, you know what? I think it's still a little too high. And like that saved me because I still knew the collectibles were going to be valuable. But if he had pulled the trigger, he'd be up so much money right now. So thank God for that. But yeah, so no, I haven't sold any collectibles for OMI. Have been stacking a little bit more OMI. I'm up to about 14.5 million now. So I got about another 500,000 OMI. I know you do that on a daily basis, so it's not as exciting. But still collecting even at these prices. I still think that this is a good entry for the OMI token. Could we consolidate? Could you get in a little bit lower? Yes, but I mean, we're so close to the token migration and so many catalysts that are going to follow afterwards that I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later, that to me, it just, you're playing with fire at this point if you're sitting on the sidelines. So
yeah, I was talking to my friend Dan before. He's got a lot of buddies on Wall Street. He's a homie of mine. He helped me just kind of become who I am. And he's like, listen, I know a couple of people that, like work at BlackRock, work here, and they're like, they've heard of it. And they said, but none of their bosses would let them do anything unless it's on Coinbase. Like it's got to be on. So other people have heard of this so far. Like the big money, I guess you do have someone that in each firm that their job is to say like, hey, check out this token. But because it's on like Bit4X, which I was like, that is too sketch. Like it's not safe enough for bigger firms. So I don't know if we get Coinbase, but.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether like I think a Coinbase listing is an inevitability. I just can't put a specific date on it. I know Dr. Profit, who's great in the community, he puts out a lot of great information and buys a lot of collectibles and a lot of OMI. He put out a tweet the other day and he's like, you know what? Like, token migration confirmed on January 27th. I think we're going to have 3 exchange listings by February 7th. He didn't even say exchange announcements. He said exchange listings.
Yeah.
And I thought that was absolutely crazy. But then I took a step back from it. I was like, you know what? Kind of back. And this goes way back. You know, people in the chat, you may have been here, you may not have been here, but we're going all the way back to May of 2021. David Yu put out a tweet. I know, Randy, you remember it. And it just said May, M-A-Y, like M space A space Y. And that was in relation to a question about exchange listings. So we had fully assumed that we were going to get exchange listings in May of 2021. Now,
supposed to,
yeah. So bring us all the way to January of 2022. We have gotten 1 exchange listing. We got the OKX exchange listing in October, roughly, I think somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think a little before that, but yeah, either way.
Or September, October, something like that. Yeah. So we got the 1 exchange listing, but really, and for those guys that don't know the backstory, like the entire holdup is we're on the Go chain right now, which is just a dead network. So no major exchanges support this network. So you can buy the token, you can buy the Go token, but they don't have the Go chain network supported on a lot of these big exchanges. Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, Gemini, Kraken, like all these guys, they just don't support it. They're like, it's not worth their time. Too much overhead, too much money. It's not worth it. But we were supposed to have the exchange listing. So what we think happened is they went to them with all the paperwork. Some of these exchanges were ready to list them. And they were like, give us your ERC20 token address. And they were like, we don't have an ERC20 token address. We have a Go20 token address. And they were like, we can't list you. But now that we're going to be on the Ethereum mainnet ERC20 standard, every exchange in the world supports this. It's the biggest standardized token that we have as a structure right now. So I could see exchanges literally, because why wouldn't you? Like, they have access to all of this exchange data from Bit4X. I'm sure that they can see what's going on behind the scenes. The thing is that we just don't have access to front facing. Like, they know people are buying this token. They know more and more interest is coming, but they also know that no one can buy it. So what happens when you drive accessibility with the liquidity that's going to come in? Logic would dictate that the price associated with it is just going to do just nonsense stuff. Like you said, big companies and stuff are even sitting on the sidelines. They want to get into this, but they don't care about getting in at 3/4 of a penny versus 3 pennies. They would rather have that security of knowing that they have a reputable exchange backing them. So
yeah. Okay. What's your split like? So, security of exchanges. Have you put any on Bit4X, and have you put any on the app, or you keep it in trust wallets?
Yeah. So I have all of my OMI on Bit4X, which is not something that I would recommend to people. I had it on Trust Wallet for a bit, and then I don't know what it was. It was just something about like me being liable for all of it and no like third party being somewhat responsible if there was an issue. Made me a little nervous. So I was hoping that like it being on Bit4X, at least if there was an issue, I'd have someone being like taking some form of the accountability, right? Like, hey, our exchange got hacked. This is also on us on top of it being on you. Whereas if someone gets access to my trust wallet and steals all my stuff, like no one's going to come around and be like, oh, like that's on me, right? So that's kind of what I've done for now until the token migration. Once the migration happens, I will be putting whatever amount of OMI I need to stake for, I guess we're calling it tier 5. I don't know. For those of you that have been listening to any of the AMA sessions, you will know
Can't wait.
Yeah, that we should be getting a 4th and a 5th tier. We believe it to be a $25,000 and a $50,000 tier. So I will likely stake at that $50,000 tier. I don't know what you're going to get for it. I'm kind of hoping early access to land. I know some people that maybe don't have $50,000 may not be happy with me saying that, but they got to incentivize people somehow to lock up that much liquidity, and it can't just be, I don't know. I don't have an example, but you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's going to be what I'm doing. So I'm going to stake that, and then the rest of it, I do have it in a Komi secure wallet. So I'll probably I'll probably move all of it to there. How about you? I think you got yours spread out quite a bit as well, right?
Yeah. So it's and we'll get to Brandy's Babe's partners statue in a second. This is when my Twitter got hacked like a few months ago or whatever it was. I had the worst day running around like 3 different towns because I have them in 6 different trust wallets because I'm paranoid AF.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, what I gotta do is I gotta X out of this one. I got a new seed phrase and then just So I rechanged everything. You know, like God forbid. Again, there's no reason why they would have it. Like there's zero reason why anyone would have my seed phrase, but just somehow. So they are in 6 trust wallets, 6 different locations, but I do have 10 million on the app, and I probably shouldn't have put that much on the app. But I mean, because I mean, right now I don't even know how much that is, but I figure, and this is another thing I want to talk to you about. I really hope that they do staking like right away, because if you lock up $50,000 worth of staking when it's at a penny, and then it shoots to 10 pennies, suddenly $500,000 of it is locked up for each person that does that. So I'm very, very excited about that.
I think that they will. I think I can't remember, but I feel like they said that there was like 3 phases, and I think that OMI staking was phase 1. I don't remember what phase 2 was, and then phase 3 was OMI to NFT. I don't remember what the middle phase was, but I do remember OMI staking was phase 1. So I do anticipate them having that relatively soon afterwards. I don't see what the delay would be. To me, that would be an integration with the Veve web wallet, which of course we all have access to already now. The only thing that I could think of is maybe they need to have MTL in place for it. And for those of you guys that don't know, Noah Sanchez, who's one of the communications people for Veve and Ecomi, put out in the Discord earlier today that MTL is moving along well, and it looks like it's only about a few weeks away. So hopefully that will coincide with the rollout for exchange listings, everything like that, and then we lock up the liquidity at the same time. And if you compound locking liquidity in the form of staking tokens with the additional access and drive of funds coming into the project, oh man, that's like sparks.
So here, and this is why I don't really want to put that much on the app, but I need to, just because I need to. And this goes into another question, is that I have 10.8 million OMI on the app at about 0.8 of 1 penny. So when that goes to 10 cents, I have $1 million in OMI on that. That's so much. That's so much. I don't want to.
I was going to say, you having $1 million in OMI on the app is such a dangerous proposition, because you're just going to have one of your Lucy moments, and you're just going to be like, bye, and just, it's all going to be gone, man. There's going to be no alligators left. So granted, but it's just going to be insane. You're going to open a zoo. I don't know.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is that I think when they did the first iteration of the OMI utility program, they said that when you just had the 10,000 level, in order to get there, you also had to stake for the 1,000 and the 5,000 level.
Yes.
Are we going to have to do that with the 50,000? Now, I think that'd be great. And I would grab the walls, Brandy babe. Sorry.
I've always been confused about the wording on that. So the way that I understood it wasn't that you had to stake 16,000. It was that you had to stake 10,000. If you wanted early access, you would have to also use the Fast Pass program, which was burning $2,500 worth of OMI. But if it is all 3 tiers adding up on one another, that would be interesting. I am curious to see OUP v 0.2, so the OMI utility program, the next article that they're going to be releasing. I really hope that they release it before we migrate, that we have some information beforehand, because I think it's in everyone's best interest to know where they need to keep their OMI and at what level they need to keep it at. Because I think, gas costs are going to be more expensive once you get to a specific level. So I would hate to have them release it like a week afterwards, and then someone's moved their coin somewhere, and then they end up having to pay like an unnecessary $100 gas fee, when they could have simply just had that information beforehand and known how much money they had to put on the web wallet. So I think the team is pushing for that. But yeah, the fast track system along with staking just compounds the pressure that you're putting on the token, which is fantastic, because you're not just locking up 10,000, which can eventually re-enter the circulation, but you're also burning 2,500, right? So with that, you're actually staking in essence more, but because we're taking it directly from the circulating supply, I mean, there's only 310 billion that's ever going to be in there. It doesn't take a lot of buy pressure of tokens that are already locked up to shoot the price up like astronomically, right? Like,
I know.
yeah,
I can't wait. And especially if they do that all the way up, you're not just taking 50,000. You might have to take 91,000 for all the other ones. Puddin' Cheeks is saying you have to burn the fast track at each tier level also. And if they're going to ask us to do that, they need to give us a pretty good reason to do that. So I might be burning like $100,000 worth of OMI.
I don't know. I don't know if I like from a financial perspective, the only way that you're doing that is because like for me, that's not a flex thing, right? Like, yeah, you know that you're getting something that will in turn be that valuable one day. And the only thing that I can think of is land. Like, what else are you giving someone? Because realistically, like to get to the $50,000 tier, if you're saying that you need to burn each level, you're basically saying you need to burn about $10,000. So right now we'll call it $1 million OMI. It's a little bit more than that. It's like 1.2.
Yeah.
But let's say you have to burn $1 million OMI. Well, what's $1 million OMI worth at 10 cents? Like you said, it's worth $100,000.
Yeah.
So like if you're telling me I need to do that to get to that level, well, what are you giving me that's worth $100,000? Because otherwise, why would anyone do it, right?
It's land. It's easily land. Yeah. I've seen that in Earth too. Like this. I mean, even these people that aren't in Earth 2, they see it like My Neighbor Alice or Sandbox or, Decentraland stuff that you pay a couple $100 for and it sells for like 5-6 figures. Like not including this. So I'm so ready for this.
Oh man, it's going to be, yeah. And I mean, and I guess that's the other question that you need to ask yourself too, right? Like how close are we to the Veve verse? Because once again, I mean, I guess they could conceivably sell you the land without the Veveverse, right? Like they could sell you beta land without the Veveverse. But if we're a year away from land and we're a month away from staking, and it's going to take me 90 days to like work my way up without a fast pass to get to the top tier, why would I burn when I can just slowly work my way up, right? So like not only does there need to be an incentive, but there needs to be an incentive now. So that also opens up another interesting conversation. Like, are we getting something with the Veveverse sooner? And I think that is another level that's very interesting. Like what are we going to see with that? So
yeah, I mean they told us last year it'd be in December, and I knew it wasn't. And then they said, hey, it'll be about April. But then I think these took a little while longer, with the listing, the exchanges and all that, and the migration. So I think that will probably be. Conservatively, I'm estimating Q3 or Q4, but potentially by summer we can get just the first iteration. Not saying that we have amazing gameplay.
So the expanded showroom, you think by the summer? You're hoping?
I think we might be able to walk around as well, and maybe have like one game that's like kind of okay. But I think we'll be able to make our own games. I think we'll be able to do certain stuff.
You really think they're going to let us do that?
Well, when I say make our own games, well, one eventually I think we will. What you're thinking of, but I think like. Yeah. Hey, I'll race you to that mountain and back. And we can play with them. And like in Mario Kart, the original Toad and Yoshi were the fastest. So I think there'll be some, this one's faster by a little bit. This one, like in Super Smash Brothers, Luigi can jump slightly higher. So you have these little intricacies here and there for each character that everyone's going to get to know really intimately. They do that with Sonic. They do whatever. So yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Going on, Gary. We just shouted you out before. Hope you're doing well.
Gary.
Love you, Gary. But yeah, so that's what I'm very excited about. And again, like make our own games. Like, again, in the future we will be able to do that. But I think not even just racing that. Like I think we'll be able to like, hey, how much? Like Wizard's chess in Harry Potter. If you destroy something, if you destroy it, you put a spell and it repairs it. How quickly can you destroy this house? How quickly can you destroy a car? I think stuff like that would be pretty fun.
So I'm listening to you, but I also got distracted by a thought in my own head.
Okay.
I just want to see, does the number work out? Is that 5 million or 50 million? So if $50 million worth of OMI was bought at the current price, that would be 6.4 billion OMI. And so if we locked up 50 million worth of capital, which is like 1,000 people locking up 50 grand, right? Like at the top tier, we would lock up like 2% of the circulating supply. And that's just
what do you think that would do to the token?
Gosh, I'd have to model it out, but I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? It's interesting because it's not a linear correlation, right? So like as money is put into the space and as the token, I don't want to say depreciates, but as the token supply depreciates, so there's less tokens in circulation, it's not linear, because for every dollar that's added and the tokens are removed, that dollar becomes more than twice as valuable. Like it becomes exponentially more valuable. So and it was interesting. And the reason I started thinking about it is because you put out a pretty, can I say the word ballsy on this stream? I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that's fine.
You put out a pretty ballsy tweet, my friend. You responded to a tweet earlier today, and you said you think that the OMI token could be worth $7 by the end of this decade.
Yeah.
And I want to hear from you, because I get excited. I want to hear from you. Why do you think, what are the catalysts that you think are going to get us to that level?
I think just from this year alone, I do think we get to at the height of the bull market, and this is a bull case, but it is like a base bull case that we do get 30 cents before the bear market comes in, assuming that we do have a bull market through most of summer, which we may not, but assuming that we do, and that's not even like my golden goose scenario. Golden goose scenario is getting Veveverse by summer, if not sooner, and then us. That I think we get 50 cents, if we're able to do that. But 1,000, so I do represent a decent number of people that will undoubtedly stake their OMI for land, not including the land that and I'll do that. I don't know if they would allow this, but I would, if I could make a second account, or hey, Danielle, go to my girlfriend, here's X amount of million OMI, do this with the land, and then we both get rights to do that with for the land.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that have a lot more OMI than I do. And even the ones that don't have as much OMI, like half or even a tenth, whatever, if they have their bills covered, and I really don't want to sound too egotistical off, they listen to me, but if they, which I could be wrong, but I think the data shows that in a lot of these metaverses, location, if you buy some land in the right spots, that will pay you 1,000-fold. So I think there are some people that they have their bills paid and they say, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily need this money right now. I have money coming in, and let's say I have a little nest egg. They might stake most of their OMI or a lot, so they don't need that much. And even if you only have, let's say, $10,000 worth of OMI right now, once this gets to 8 cents, which I'm sure it will, they'll stake that. So it's not just big whales locking up. It's people that don't have a ton right now, but they will in the future. So that, in conjunction with the fact that I do see this being as probably the biggest metaverse, at least for what we're going for. Meta, the Facebook group, it's just going to be different. That's just basically Facebook in VR, which is fine. I mean, yeah. I respect the past and respect the, Mark Zuckerberg for trying to change. He notices that Facebook's going a little south, so he buys Instagram, and he tries to buy Snapchat, and it doesn't work. There's a reason why we had 10,000 people to try to do this, last year, because he knows that's the way the world is going.
Yeah.
Humanity goes inward, and even people that might not find it cool right now, they will. And I think if we get to, let's say, 30 cents by this year, and we go into the bear market, I think only because there's big institutions now coming in. Big institutions have been into crypto for a minute now, or the past year, which hasn't happened before. So I do think the bear market does last a lot less longer than it used to. Let's say 4 years, let's say the next one's only 2 years, because the next Bitcoin halving's at 2024, I think, even if it lasts that long. And I mean, for all we know, it could be in a super cycle, but let's say we are. I think we get to $1, if not by that time, because again, if we go from 30 cents down to single cents again, and we stay there for a year, we're burning a lot of OMI. Yeah. We are burning a fudge ton of OMI, and that's when people have been making that data, even Jeremy Padower has been saying, "Hey, look at how much we're burning now." This is just with 1.6 million users, and this is just with NFTs. This doesn't include stuff in the Veveverse, doesn't include land, doesn't accuse people that really lose it, that lock it up, that So I do think a lot of people are really underestimating it, and I think that we could grow by 50% after we reach $2 for the next several years after. So it'd be $3 and then $4.50, and then so I do think by the end of the decade, that is how we reach $7. And we could do that and potentially not even be $1 trillion market cap, which we probably should be by the decade. I think there'll be several altcoins that'll be $1 trillion market cap. OMI should be one of them. The only reason they wouldn't be is because we burn so much OMI. I know it was a really long-winded answer, but that was...
No, I appreciate it. And I think all the viewers appreciate the insight as well. I think it helps to remind us of what the catalysts are that are coming, and where we see the impact from each of them. I think at the end of the day, like, the thing that people sleep on the most is the locking of liquidity up with staking and what impact that will have on the circulating supply. Because once again, with 300 billion tokens, which is max circulation, even with $1 trillion market cap, which I think is a ways off, but let's say hypothetically we'll use your numbers, like, you can't have more than $3, right? Like, that's what 3 times 3 is. But if you lock up some liquidity, even if it's just 20% of the liquidity, we go down to 200 billion. You lock up a third of the liquidity, right? Now, if you have $1 trillion market cap, now you have a $5 OMI, right? And then, well, now you don't really need $1 trillion to get to a $1 OMI. You need 500 billion. And then you can start playing with these numbers. And of course, they sound like numbers when you're saying them. And it's like, oh, it's great. You can talk about them and it sounds good, but where's the math and anything that backs it up? And I think for me, that's always why I'm hesitant to throw out price predictions, because people ask me all the time, like, what's your price prediction for OMI? Well, what are the catalysts that I'm basing it off of, right? Like, are you just asking me, like, what do I hope it goes to? Because I can tell you, right? Like, I hope it goes to $10. Like, obviously, like, why wouldn't I, right? I hold 14 million OMI. I would love to have $140 million. Like, no one's going to offer me that. I'm going to say no. But, like, what are we basing it off of? Show me the OMI utility program. Show me the Veveverse. How are we going to burn in the Veveverse? Show me staking. Show me that we're burning 100% of OMI when we buy land. Show me that we're burning 100% of OMI when we go in the Veveverse. Show me the third-party token integrations. Who are we integrating with? Coinbase NFT is an entire marketplace. Coinbase has 70 million users. If we get listed on Coinbase and then we get a partnership with Coinbase NFT, let's just say like Moon scenario, and we end up as the official partner for Coinbase NFT. They just recently did a partnership with MasterCard today. So now they're allowing crypto payments with MasterCard. Well, what's another platform that we know that you use your phone with right now that allows credit card payments where you can buy NFTs, right? So, and then you go a step further, we get listed on Coinbase, which officially sponsors Immutable X. They're the official partner of them, and they funded them. So now we're listed on Immutable X. We're an ERC20 token. We're now listed on Coinbase because the Coinbase listed IMX. Why wouldn't they list the OMI token? So now we're listed on Coinbase. And then we get an official partnership with Coinbase NFT. We become their flagship product on Coinbase. We're marketed to their 4 million users. And on top of that, they have 70 million people that use their crypto platform that are now being directed every time they buy the OMI token to check out the crypto NFTs. So then the numbers, like, then it starts to very quickly make sense. Like, oh, okay, whoa, we got something here. I just don't know that I'm there yet where I'm comfortable to say to people, because I try and be like, pragmatic, right? Like, I try and be the guy that's like, okay, this is what we need. This is what we need. Like, me just sitting here being like, I agree with you. And I do agree with you. But like, to not give my piece about it would be, if for me anyways, irresponsible. I do think that we will, in this decade, just based on the catalysts that I believe are coming and are not announced, we could see easily $1 plus for the OMI token by 2030. To say that we can make it 10x beyond that by 2030, I'd be more than happy to see it. I just don't know that I see it yet. Yeah, but either way, anyone that's listening right now that is disappointed about hearing that OMI only goes to $1, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So there was a Jesse the Body Ventura wrestler. He went to SEAL school, so I think he was at least went through the training to be a Navy SEAL. He said the way he got elected governor was that he didn't take any big money. What he did was he just, mom and pop people, just normal everyday people send him $50. And so that I didn't even think about that Sinox brought up was that we're not taking into account the thousands of people that will stake up a little bit of their own. or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions, I'll be like, hey, I can get something with this. And that will add up at some point. I know we don't have a ton right now. There's not a ton of wallets, but there will be soon. Even some people that are technologically literate, they say, like, I don't need to get another exchange just to buy OMI. I'll just wait.
Well, and that's it. Like when you can buy OMI directly on the app using the MTL to facilitate the purchase, and then you get incentivized, or it's even cheaper to buy OMI than it is to buy gems because there's no market fees and things of that nature going through, Google and whatever. Like that's when you really start to see the impact. When every purchase in the secondary market, or at least by and large, most of them are being done in OMI and 2.5% is being burnt from the circulating supply. That's when I really start to get excited because it's easy, like I said, to hypothesize these things. And it really does make sense. And that's why I'm so heavily invested. I know that's why you're so heavily invested because it just makes too much sense not to, right? Like Andre came back in the community and I was like, dude, you're an idiot. You need to buy more tokens. What's wrong with you? And, we had a couple conversations and he's very responsible when it comes to his money. I was going to call him a bad word, but I'll call him responsible. I call him a boomer. When I message him, I go, hey, boomer. Because he's just like, oh, this is a crypto thing. I don't know. And so I'm just like, bro, you need to buy more OMI. And he bought more OMI to his credit. And that day, Pro the Doge just so happened to be at his house and overheard us talking about it. And he had a couple other buddies over. And then I'm getting, this works perfectly into the conversation. Yeah. And they start asking me questions and we're talking on FaceTime. Before I know it, we're like 2 hours into a FaceTime conversation. I'm like, okay, whatever. I get off the phone 20 minutes later. I see Andre calling me again on FaceTime. I'm like, what do you want? So I pick up the phone. I'm like, what do you? And it's just Pro the Doge. And I'm like, oh, hey man, how's it going? So I started talking to him. He's like, yo, bro, this OMI thing, this seems legit. Like, tell me about it. And I felt so bad because when I was explaining it to him, I was like, yeah, man. And like, this happens and this is how the token goes up. And like, you really don't have to rely on like your buddy buying it and your buddy's buddy. And I'm, oh, sorry, man. Like, no offense to Doge. Like that's, and then I get like 2 minutes later into the conversation and I'm like, and it's, deflationary and this is how the token, but like Doge is like, so it just got to the point where I was like, dude, I'm not hating on Doge. Like, it's good. But like, he's like, no, dude, I get it. I get it. It's all good. So we started talking and I'm not going to say the amount of money that he bought because I don't think it's right to kind of put that on blast for him. If he wants to make it public, he can make it public, but he didn't buy a small amount of OMI. Like he's an OMI millionaire for sure. I mean, he put out the tweet, like he bought some OMI, right? And then the next day I see he's putting out a tweet. He's like, I'm buying Veve collectibles. He drops 10 grand on collectibles. I was like, what's going on?
Talked to him yesterday.
Again. I talked
to him. Did you see his tweet before?
Yeah, I talked to him again today. He bought another 20K worth of collectibles. So he's the guy's going hard in the paint. It's pretty crazy to see what he's doing out there. And I love that he's embracing it. And Andre, starting to make content again about Veve. He's really excited about it. We talk at least twice a day about stuff that's going on in the community. Obviously in our group, we're talking to people as well. And yeah, every people at that kind of level that have that kind of money, like you said, are finding out about these things. Professional sports athletes are finding out, celebrities are finding out. And this, this Bored Ape status money and this CryptoPunk status money that really doesn't do a lot of anything for you is definitely going to start to transition over into this project because every collectible on Veve in essence is its own project, its own ecosystem. You have your OMI Kongs and you have your people that are passionate about your Decon collectibles. You have your Walt guys, you have your Spider-Man guys, you have your Superman guys, you have people that like Labracorns. Like there's literally a group for everyone, right? So it's going to be really interesting once you start to see these people come in and you realize that like there's 10,000 CryptoPunks, but there's only 1,000 Secret Rare Spider-Mans. There's only 4,300 Walts. And that's when you start to realize that these collectibles are nowhere near the valuations that they're going to be in a very short period of time. And that's why I'm not selling anything because I've learned that mistake the hard way. So
yeah, but I'm very much, so I am happy that he's learning through Andre, who's learning through you, because that kind of, that can trickle that, again, the knowledge that you have just with playing with numbers. You are very conservative. You're not like conservative saying like, oh, OMI might reach, you know, like a couple of pennies by the end of the year. You do the numbers and like, well, it could reach here and it could reach here. So I'm glad that you're probably going over the numbers with them, you're going over the catalyst with them, and you're not like people said I'm a moon boy, which maybe I am a little bit. But I'm glad they're learning that through you, and then hopefully that goes to their followers. I saw Andre Jick's video yesterday about that, and I was very happy the way he did that. And I hope that Doge Millionaire does something similar, where it says like, "Hey, I did this, and these are the reasons why." And people that only follow him, let's say for the memes, they kind of like when you want to give your dog a pill that, and you know, which is like the boring facts, you put it in cheese, which is like the flashy stuff. Yeah. He'll put facts in with the memes, and now they're getting the facts. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, well, you know what? He has. I mean, Andre obviously has 1.8 or whatever million followers or subscribers on YouTube, but Pro has 4 times the amount of followers on Twitter than Andre does. Andre only has like 57,000. Pro has over 200,000 followers. So the fact that he's tweeting these things out, like people may not see it, right? Like if you don't follow him and you don't see it, but like, and people can have their own opinions on Pro and like Dogecoin and whatever. I personally don't like Dogecoin. I have no problem telling Pro that I don't like Dogecoin. It doesn't mean that it's not a net positive thing for him to be investing in the project and him spreading awareness about the project to other people, because those are the type of people that will literally just listen to anything that you tell them. And unlike with things like Dogecoin, like it's actually going to work out for him, right? Like you say, hey, buy OMI, I'm buying OMI. And then you have 200,000 people that are like, to the moon. And then like they buy OMI. The difference is like OMI actually has a use case. They don't need to understand it. They just need to know that they buy it and that it's going to do good things for them. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
That could be great if they, you know, like if it stacks, like if we have not only people that understand the use case, we have people that FOMO in, that people that are there for the memes. I'm really curious. Like there was some, did you see the one that was Captain America was like standing there like this, and you see Steamboat Willie doing his whistle thing, like in his cross, like, and he's, if people start making memes like that, and so like that will 100% people go in just to be raunchy, just to be really, and yeah, 4chan gets a hold of it.
We get the anime vertical and someone sends Bella Porch like something and she notices it, and like her 60 million TikTok followers, she posts like one TikTok about it. Like people don't realize that in the information age that we live in, it takes only one catalyst to make something go absolutely viral, right? Like look what happened with Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go went up to like 600 million downloads within like 4 months of it being created back in 2016. It was insane, right? So like all we need is the right set of circumstances. Nice. All we need is the right set of circumstances to just absolutely launch this thing. Now, I try and take like more like, hey, I'm invested for 3 to 5 years. I'm okay with fluctuation, but like I'm also not going to complain if that just absolutely takes off, right? Let's be honest. Like in the last 16 days, my Veve portfolio has gone up 180,000 US dollars, which is just like, you know, I mean, my like 2021 year in review, and my wife was like, wow, you did really well for us, hon. And I'm like, yeah. And now I go to her, like we woke up this morning and I was up like $40,000 from yesterday. And I was like, yeah, okay, our portfolio is up 40 grand. Like it's, you know, like it's weird. Like it just becomes like an expectation now. It's like, oh yeah, Walt's going to 50K. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm still going to hold it. Doesn't matter. It's like you just, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna get to that thing, and like no one's selling. You know what I mean? It's just we're just like we're all along for the ride. The energy's good on socials. You know, 99.9% of people are supporting one another. Everyone's excited to be on this journey together, and that's what you need. You know what I mean? You just need a good group of people moving towards the same goal with the same ideas, and like we can accomplish anything, and it's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, I also know that because Immutable X has TikTok, and you know we're on Immutable X, and could we like? I think it's a very natural fit for these NFTs to be on TikTok somehow at some point. Like they would like push it, like in their formula, they'd be like, okay, Immutable X is telling TikTok to push NFTs because that's part of their platform, it's part of their ecosystem. I think that would be really cool. And I had another thought. I keep losing it. So it's twice today. I've done this. I don't know why. But oh yeah, also my friend Paul, who is like, I don't want to say Mr. Negative, but he does not like crypto. It is like NFT. And then eventually he's like, oh, you know what? I found Bitcoin. Oh, I found Ethereum. And the one catalyst that got him to invest into OMI is saying like they partnered with Disney. And he's like an old school, like only invest in stocks. He's like, you know what, Chavez, I bought a little today because they partnered with Disney. And, you know, so older people come in, big institutions come in. Have you talked to your wife about, you know, what would you guys do, or what will you guys do when suddenly you're worth like 7 figures and then 8 figures? Because, you know, you have, even if you sell 4 million over the next few years and then it goes to $1, $10 million, you're like a millionaire.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you know, a 7 versus an 8-figure conversation is completely different, and I don't think you ever really know until you get there. I always like to think, for the most part, that like the way that I live my life isn't going to change too much. I'm a firm believer that like money inherently isn't going to buy you happiness, but it buys you the freedom to do the things that makes you happy. And like what that means for me is like if I don't have to go and work shift work like all the time, and I can be home with my family and like have dinners together on a more regular basis, and like take my wife and kid to Disneyland, because I never got to go when I was a kid. My parents would have loved to, they just didn't have the means. Or, you know, take care of my mom and make sure that she's good. And like that to me is the most important thing, right? So I don't think that my life would kind of drastically change too much. Yeah, I don't know. I know that obviously the goal is to pay off the house. Like that was the initial long-term goal when we initially bought into OMI. So like when we bought the 1 million OMI, and then the 1 million went to 2, and then the 2 went to 5, it was always like, if OMI goes to 20 cents one day, we'll have $1 million and we'll be able to pay off our house and have a little bit extra and whatever, right? Like that was always the goal. Now that I'm up at you know, 14 million, you know, my retirement number comfortably is like 32 cents American, which is obviously 32 cents for these purposes. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, I could probably do it with less, but that's like house paid off. My wife and I retire. We never have to work again. We live off interest. You know, my kids' education's taken care of. I can take care of my family, that kind of stuff, like comfortable living. That to me is a foregone conclusion. Like I've already accepted that that's going to happen. So at this point, I'm kind of just along for the ride to kind of enjoy it, you know, educate people where I can, make relationships with people where I can, and kind of just enjoy it, you know, sharing other people's experiences, sharing their milestones, the thing that make them happy, because everyone has different goals and different kind of time frames in which they're going to get there, right? Like for you could, I mean, you already are retired, right? Like you are at a time frame that I will be at one day. Like I'll make $1 million on OMI one day, but you've already done it, right? So like one day I'll be there, and then maybe someone's watching me right now and they're going, one day I'll have $100,000. Like that's my goal. And I'm there already. And I consider myself very fortunate. I'm very blessed that I've had this opportunity and that I got in when I did. So you know, I look at that perspective. I think for us, you know, obviously take a little bit of profit along the way. But once again, if we rock it up to 30 cents, you know, I don't know. Do I sell half? Do I hold? Do I sell half? Do I hold? Like where are we going at that point? What are the catalysts? Like, was it a pump that was unsustainable, or are we there because we just deserve to be there? If we're there just because we deserve to be there, then, you know, you sell 10% and you just keep riding it out. But yeah, I don't know. Like we'll see. I'm actually thinking, and I never thought of this before, but I started thinking about it when I made my video earlier today. Like I used to always be like, yo, OMI's the thing that's going to make me retire. Now I'm kind of like, am I just gonna like sell a Walt, and Walt's gonna be what gets me there? Like is Walt gonna be $500,000 in a year or something absolutely asinine, right? Like am I gonna be able to make a video one day where I paid off my mortgage with a $333 NFT, right? Like will that happen? I have no idea, and I don't
Probably
have any
will.
expectations that it will, but it's just the thought is kind of just like, it's kind of surreal. So
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to like the crappiest neighborhood, and I'm gonna buy a $40,000 house, and I'm gonna be like, and I'm gonna do it before you. I paid off this house with one NFT. I don't know which NFT that would be because I sold a lot of the bigger ones. Some of the there was one other thing that I forgot, but I remembered, so I wrote it down. At DesignerCon, Taps was interviewing Reese, and Reese said his goal, or the team's goal, and even if they don't succeed, the goal is to be the crypto to use for NFTs. And even if it's not the crypto and it's just one of the main ones, that is so freaking huge. Like stuff that has zero to do with Veve. They could just be using it for other stuff. Or like Dr. Prophet said in his year of predictions earlier this year or late last year, saying that there's going to be other projects that use it. And we already have one with Brock McBlockchain, our favorite bread cat. He's got Fishes. He accepts only for Fishes.
Yeah, Fishes.
So,
I don't know why I said Freshies. Fishes, yes.
Fishes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I honestly, and that goes back to the conversation we had earlier, right? Like I think to me, it's not a stretch. It's just a logical progression of events.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's just a logical progression of events. We're moving over to Ethereum. We're on Immutable. Immutable has TikTok, for the record. You were talking about the whole TikTok conversation. Has TikTok. They're sponsored by Coinbase. They listed the Immutable token on Coinbase. So logical progression for me, and this is 9:55 p.m. on January 18th, 2022. Logical progression for me is that in the next month or two, we get listed on Coinbase. Once the token gets listed on Coinbase NFT, which is going to be the biggest marketplace, they have 10 times more interest for Coinbase NFT marketplace than the current amount of active accounts on OpenSea. Like just the interest to like sign up for it. Yeah. They've already signed a major partnership with MasterCard to do processing payments with credit cards, which is what we already do with OMI to buy gems. The logical progression is move from Go to Ethereum, move the collectibles over, which has already been done, list the OMI token on Coinbase, create a partnership with Coinbase NFT, make Veve the flagship partner of your new NFT platform to bring, because Coinbase is the mainstream crypto platform, bring mainstream NFTs with recognizable IP and branding to the public with the most recognized platform. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's as logical as Veve one day partnering with Apple for AR, right? Like the biggest AR provider for the biggest platform. Right now, Veve Collectibles, whether people agree with it or not, Veve Collectibles is the biggest NFT platform in the world. And it's not even close, right? Like it may not do more volume per capita than OpenSea, but based on the amount of NFTs minted, the trading volume, and the amount of users that we have, it is the biggest platform in the world. Yeah. So it only makes sense to move a mainstream project to a mainstream platform. And to me, once you can start using the OMI token that you can buy on Coinbase directly on the Coinbase NFT marketplace to buy Veve NFTs, that's like 4 clicks and you're in the game. Takes you 2 minutes to download the Veve app, takes you 2 minutes to get Coinbase, you buy, you get your collectible, and then you bring it over to the app and you're interacting in whatever form of metaverse we have at that point.
And a lot of the FUD around NFTs in general, I don't know if you watch South Park, the new COVID stuff. They have a whole segment about that, and it's pretty funny. But a lot of what they're talking about does ring true for most NFTs. They're just JPEGs and just whatever, and ours aren't. And a lot of the FUD, and I think a lot of the FUD around NFTs will help us because we could say, oh, you're absolutely, we could agree with them saying you're absolutely correct. These are just JPEGs. But these are not. Like, these aren't spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers. and then we can go and, older people, like just anyone in general, skeptical. Are you going to buy something off a rock, or are you going to buy something made by Disney, licensed by Disney? They'll do that. And I think a lot of people are forgetting Binance as well. Coinbase is obviously a big piece of the pie, but Binance, I think Binance NFT actually follows Veve on Twitter. So
I think that they do. And you know what? And I think Binance will do great things as well. I just don't know. I mean, the biggest market that we have right now for the OMI token is the US market, right? I think it makes up like 54% or something. And in Binance, you can't use in the US. I mean, there's Binance US, obviously, but like the Binance platform is just more difficult to use, I think, anyways. And I can't actually use it in the province that I live in. So in Ontario, I can't use it. The Ontario Security Exchange Commission said, no, we don't like their business practices. And I think in the UK, they're having issues as well. So I think Binance is causing some issues for themselves with that. But I think a Binance listing will also happen. I know you remember. I remember seeing the XLM file of Binance and seeing the OMI USDT pairing that came out a month or so ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird because we talk about these things for so long that like, how do you be excited about them when they come? It's just like, you know, for so long we were saying like we have Marvel, we have Disney, and then it was confirmed and it was excited, but it was just like, but we expected this. It's just like, it's just really interesting. So.
Now, I think this is a ways away. For those of you that are just listening, Mr. Pags is coming in saying, told you guys back in September, Randy stream, Veve will go public and Disney buys Veve. Now, I'm sure that they've gotten offers to go public already, because Earth 2 has had those offers, and they don't have as much money, I don't think. But for these guys that are very well off on their own already, making millions of dollars already, there's no reason for them to sell currently while the token is still like they would want to be at the helm. They would want to stay here, and why? Because even if they got $500 million each, even if they got a couple $1 billion each, they could make tens of billions of dollars when this goes to $1. So they would really be selling themselves short if they sold now.
The other thing that we need to consider too, and I agree with Henry. I think eventually we may see some form of capital infusion or investment into the company by some form of entity, but I do believe that Dan and David would stay on as kind of managing partners. I could see that for, OMI token options, kind of like a stakeholder kind of thing, but it wouldn't be Disney. And the reason that I say it wouldn't be Disney, and not that I don't think it'd be a good thing for it to be Disney, it would never be, at least in my opinion, an IP that is already on the app, because then that IP would be controlling other IP. Disney owns Marvel. The fact that we were able to get DC and Marvel on the same platform to begin with is, creative genius. I don't know how they managed to do that, but there's no way that Disney could then own Veve, because DC is going to say, no, we don't want, Marvel as a subsidiary. Like, we don't want the company that owns Marvel, who's our direct competitor, controlling our IP on one of the biggest, cash cows that we have. If anything, it would be a tech company like Apple or Google that doesn't have any stake in any specific IP. They would buy it out. And then, or Amazon or something like that. I could definitely see that. Maybe Meta or something, but it wouldn't be an IP, in my opinion, that controls other IP on the app.
Yeah, no, agreed. I would say that if they were to do that, I think it'd be great. Like, how they have at like seating charts back in the day, like for like the Grammys or the VMAs, they'd be like, okay, you can't put people that have beef with each other. Like, you can't put Ja Rule over here, 50 Cent over here. And nowadays, like, okay, you have to put like Drake over here and Millie Bobby Brown all the way up there. You would need to probably put, if Disney controlled this, they would put, Disney World, Marvel World, and Veve City in one thing, and then they would have like DC next to like, Ponyville in My Little Pony. They would have stuff like that just to troll them.
100%.
I think that'd be great.
How much money are you willing to spend on land when it comes out?
It really depends on the price of OMI at the time. But let's say it's 10 cents, and that would be about, let's say, 12-ish million. It sounds crazy, but if I put about 500K in OMI, and I have so much OMI, then it would make sense. And I did that when I only had that much money. That if I have, let's say, at 10 cents, let's say $12 million, I could see putting in $1 million worth of that into land.
Wow.
Which I know sounds like a lot, which it is very much, but that land will go, that'll pay a lot.
What keeps you going? So at 10 cents, let's say you have $12 million. Why not just walk away, I guess, is the question that I have. Like, is it the conviction of knowing that 10 cents is just the beginning? Like, do you have a number in mind? Like, do you have an exit number?
I have toyed around with the idea, but I never really took the thought experiment too far. Okay. I would need to have a trip with my friend Lucy to see where that goes. But it would, at 10 cents, yes, I have a very big problem with leaving money on the table. And it's not like I was in the high risk lending business and I had to constantly talk to people and email them and try to, and it was like a hustle. It was a grind. It's not like Pokemon cards where I have to, okay, here's the stuff I got from PSA. Let me spend 6 hours listing it and taking pictures and then packaging stuff that I sold before. This is something that I don't have to work at. Other people are making it so that the coin goes up. So I don't have to do anything. And also I'm still young. I'm 31, and if I can help spread awareness and help people just look. I also people permanently on my fridge. I have to make sure I give them their money's worth. I have to stream for a long time. But yeah, I think as long as I'm still young and healthy, and even until 40, which everyone's going to be like, everyone 50 and above in this chat be like, 40 is nothing. I would say that minimum, I would want this to go to $1 before I even think about taking large amounts out.
Okay.
But I would say also because, if I walk away with 12 million, it's like I could maybe buy a couple plots of land in, Madagascar. The goal is animal conservation. And, I could make 10 times that. Like, I'm sure before this decade comes out, I'll have 100 million, if not couple hundred million. And if I only sell or buy 20 million, if I only sell 20 million or use 20 million worth of OMI by the time we get to $7 or $10, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that in the 2030s I could be a billionaire. And you can do a lot more with $1 billion than you can with 12. So yeah, that's the goal. And before we get started, challenge you, Randy, to use this money to buy Foster One collectible. Must post it. Must use collectible as a giveaway 1 year from now.
Wow.
You ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. So a $50, or $69 Canadian. I don't know what that translates to, but let's say 69 for the memes. So while I'm doing that, what are your thoughts on why I wouldn't walk away even if it reached 10 cents or even $1?
You know what? Like you said, I think it really comes down to the money that's on the table. I think especially once you've taken out your initial investment, it's really just you're playing with house money, right? So like why walk away if you don't have to? If you're in a position to continue to make money and the value proposition of what is coming is still there, then there's really no reason not to keep going. And I think for me, even like, I mean, eventually I'm going to sell OMI one day, right? I mean, you got to sell it at some point.
This $58 common Groot, I'm going to screenshot that. Nice. I'm going to buy it. And then, items no longer available. Get the fudge out of here. Okay.
You got sniped.
I got sniped. Okay, $59. Okay, $59. Okay, success. Okay, we're good. All right, and send me your stuff later. I'll send it to you, and then
sounds good.
I'll remind you 1 year from now you have to give away that common Groot.
Yeah, we'll set a reminder somehow. We will do a live in 1 year from today. We will do a live on January 18th, 2023, and we will do the giveaway live to someone.
Yeah, Foster Groot common giveaway. It's already in the calendar.
Beautiful. And do we give an additional incentive to anyone that was here tonight watching live? Anyone that's in the chat?
I mean, just
like if they're watching this stream live and they're commenting right now, and then in a year they're also here commenting, do they get like first dibs? Like, do we enter them into the raffle?
No, I just comment. I was there. I don't know.
Okay. If anyone has any ideas, leave it in the comment section. Let us know. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much, Michael, for that. That was nice of you. He's a buddy of mine. He should really probably just donate me the money, but I'm glad he's doing it to you. And
we'll do it on your stream next time.
Okay,
next
cool.
Time we'll give it away.
I did actually text him when I saw that donation came up, and I said, "Why didn't you donate $69.69?" And he responded to me, and I'm not even joking. He said, "You're right, a missed opportunity." So I thought that was funny. So thank you, Mike. That was awesome. So it was a missed opportunity, but you tried your best. So yeah. So you're right. Long story short, don't walk away unless you have to. Right? If it's not causing an issue, it's still making you money. Like
that's what I love. I mean, even if and shout out to my girlfriend Danielle, who is 100% okay with me doing like whatever I want. Like she's just like, there's no like, hey, you should probably use that money for this. We're trying to get a house. We're going to Florida. It's just like, it gives me free reign. I would not probably be able to do that if I was with most other girls. Would be like, hey, you need to solidify a little bit and take some profit, which is probably the smart thing to do. But she doesn't do that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, if I could keep do, and who knows what YouTube goes to, and I might not need to sell a lot of OMI. I mean, if I can keep up with the fridge and freezer, and I can keep growing. I mean, what are you at? You're at like 6,000 subscribers, also, right?
Yeah, I'm getting close to it. I mean, for me, like I hadn't posted a video in a week. Like I've always promised myself, like you are the single most unique form of long form content that we have in the community, hands down, right? Like you're constantly engaging with community, you're constantly doing lives, you answer every single person's question. I try and do that on Twitter as well. Like if anyone asks me a question, like I'll respond. But like how you have the time to kind of engage with the community that you do is absolutely incredible. So I think for me, like I try and cover overarching and broad concepts that I think benefit people that they can look back on and kind of be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I love that you kind of get into the nuance and the nitty gritty, which is why I love hopping on with you, because we can talk about like questions that the community has at any given time. But yeah, like I'm doing okay. Like, I mean, it's not like YouTube is paying the rent or anything like that, right? I think I posted in my 2021 year in review. I think I made $1,500 on YouTube in 2.5 months, which I mean is still great, but it was also I made $700 in one night from donations. So had I not had that one night, I would have made $800 in 2.5 months, which I mean, it's fine, but it's not going to, supplement my main income or anything like that, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. We'll see where things happen. Like maybe as the channel continues to grow, like I know YouTubers get sponsorship deals and things like that. So I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I'm not too stressed out about it. Like the collectibles are doing well, the token is doing well. I still got a job I go to every single day. The Magic Club is doing well. I love everyone that's in the group. It's a good time. It's not a big group of people, but it's a good group of people. There's no toxicity like there is on Twitter and other social functions. It's great. Everyone that's in there wants to be in there, right? You're not bullet to the head, have to join. And I like that, because the only problem with Twitter I find sometimes is that there's so many keyboard warriors that have a million opinions. And it's just like, I don't mind entertaining a conversation, but when it's just people that clearly don't know what they're talking about and they just like to talk crap for the sake of talking crap, it's like, okay, that's fine. Like, that's your opinion. I'm cool with it. But I love the group. I love having interactions with everyone. And so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I don't have, any plans to retire anytime soon, unless OMI goes to $1, in which case I'm out, mic drop. So
I told, I don't know how much you guys make, but I told Tapsus at Designer Con that if he really wanted to, he probably could take YouTube full time. And it would be like, I don't know if you ever played Fire Emblem. Have you, on Nintendo Switch?
No.
Or Nintendo? There's this character Donnie that like he just sucks at first. Like he's really weak. You have to weaken an enemy before he attacks, because he does so little damage for him to kill it. Get the experience. Nothing can hit him, but he grows so much faster than any other character. Any other character will get 2 or 3 experience points for their stats. He'll get like 7 or 8, and that's kind of like YouTube. It's a grind for a little while, but if you or Tabs or anyone that we know goes and decides to like just go all in and stream 6 or 8 hours a day and do that, you could probably within a year go and make the money that you have or at least pay your bills. Again, you have you probably have more bills than I do. You have a mortgage, you have a kid and a wife, so you probably have a little bit more. But as this explodes, I think this can go. There's going to be a lot of need for a lot of YouTubers, because there's going to be a lot of people watching content.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing everyone come into the community that's new to the platform, and everyone has a different opinion and brings something to the table. And so I look forward to seeing what new content creators are coming up with. I love watching all of the OG content from different people in the community. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I've always said, like YouTube for me was never going to be a career. And I think even if I was making a decent amount of money, like I don't see myself changing the way that I make content. I changed the way I know that the back of my room is going to look different because it looks like I'm in a jail cell right now. But some shelving units came in today, so we're getting shelving units here and here, and then my Veve sign is going here, and I got a space up here. I don't know if I'm going to use that for like community-based stuff, like shout outs and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, so I'll definitely do that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I didn't even enable. Like I got like a giant, well, not a giant, it was $1,500, but I got a paycheck from YouTube all at once because I didn't even enable my payment option for 2 months. Because I just, like I said, like I make YouTube videos because like I think they're helpful for the community. And you either watch them and you get value in them, or you don't watch them, or you watch them and don't get value in them, and you let me know that too. So like I'm just a talking head on a computer screen. Like if you don't want to listen, don't listen. If you want to listen, listen, right? So we'll see what happens. And if it becomes something, then I'm very grateful to be in the position that I am and that I have, almost 6,000 people that give a shit about what I have to say, pardon my language. But yeah, it's an interesting time we live in. And I'm just really, like I said, just very fortunate and blessed to be a part of the project, and looking forward to see where it goes. So.
Yeah, same. Have you had, so I don't know if I should call them like super fans, like does Brendan Zigo in your chat every, like, do you have people that you can say like every day that are like first, or like, hey man, how's it going? They comment like, call me to the sun, or they just comment like to the moon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like you definitely get the OG people that like will comment on like most of your videos and stuff. And it's always nice to see the support, the people that came in like sub 1,000 or whatever. And in your chat, I think it becomes more obvious because you like in me, it's interactions in the comment section. So like they last as long as the interaction takes place for the comment, but like you continue a dialogue with people. So like, even as you're talking or I'm talking, I'm reading the comment section. I'm reading the people that are shouting us out. I'm reading the people that are talking trash. And like, I just love it. Like it's a whole ecosystem in and of itself. Like I love everyone that's positive. I love everyone that's negative. I texted my buddy. I love B's comments. B's making me laugh a lot right now. So I'm enjoying that. Thank you so much, B. Keep that up. Like I like people that troll, but that aren't assholes. You know what I mean? Like it's fine to be a troll, but like if you're just a dick, like you're just a dick, right?
Oh,
like,
dude, so some people, they make me laugh so hard. Where like just someone, I posted on Facebook a couple times. Someone's just like, "You're getting fat." And that's just the honesty is just like, is hysterical. Like, yeah, all right, you roasted me. That's fair. So some things are just so funny. Like, some the other day said like, lose any more hair, you're gonna be able to put a name on your forehead, and I was like, the unexpected heat. I was like, but yeah, yeah. So it's
well, but you're really sharing your whole life, right? So like, if you're having a bad day, you share it, right? If you're having a good day, you take your wins, you take your losses. Like for me, like in the video that I record, like if I don't like something that I say, if I don't like something that I say, I stop recording, right? So like for me now, it's like sometimes I have to like think like, do I want to say this? Do I not want to say this? Like, right? Like do I want to get into it with this person? Do I want to correct them and point out their misinformation or whatever you want to call it, right? And I'm like, you know what? No, you know what? Like, it's a great conversation, and I think someone commented there's over like 300 people watching right now. I mean, that's incredible. Like, I love that so many people came out. Even if it's less now, like to hang out with us and have a conversation. And maybe this is your first time and you're learning about the project and you're just trying to get some more information. And I just hope people find value in it and that they get to know us, a little bit better. And I'm really looking forward to these live events. Like I'm really looking forward to getting to meet people in person and interact with them and whatever. Yeah. Like it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Can't wait for that. I did make a video like a few weeks ago saying about giving some of the collectibles utility. I think I mentioned 3, but I could only remember 2. Like later this year, if anyone has a secret rare storm that's in Long Island, I'll pay for them to go see Black Panther with me, and we'll go out to dinner, and maybe we'll get Swifty. I don't know. So that'd be fun.
I have a secret rare storm.
Come to Long Island, and I'll take you out to dinner, and we'll go to we'll see Black Panther 2. And then at 30 cents. So somebody asked me about this the other day, saying like, well, because he's from Australia. He says like, well, when we reach 30 cents, you have to let us know when that 30 cent party is in Orlando, because we have to take time off work and we have to go. I was like, You want to go? Like, yeah. So if we do reach 30 cents, like I think we can, we'll probably go to Orlando probably in October around Halloween.
Okay.
And regardless of what you have, I will pay for your OMI tattoos if you would like to come.
Okay.
But if you have a secret rare alligator Loki, I'll pay for your pass to go to Universal and we can go to Harry Potter World together.
Would a tattoo not be more expensive than a pass to Disney? Dear God. How
I mean,
much are those things?
I think they're like a couple $100s.
Oh my God.
And my friend Stacy will do the tattoo, and the tattoo's probably just going to be like wherever. It's not. I mean, we'll make an event out of that. That'll be fun.
Okay. Now, am I still invited if I don't have a secret Loki, but I buy my own ticket?
Yeah. You could of course. You buy your own ticket. But
wasn't sure if it was like the cool kids are over here and like the non-secret alligator guys are over here. So.
Yeah, maybe. And again, if we're at 30 cents by that point, I might just I don't know if I get really swifty. Like last time, I was actually wearing these pants. They're cargo pants, and they've got lots of pockets in them. So I took a bunch of airplane little tiny alcohol bottles from like the shopette from the gas station, shoving them in there. I was like putting them in my butter beer, and it was so good. It was like, that was the greatest thing.
That's awesome. So how often do you think we're gonna do like parties? Like, and I think I asked you this on a live we did a couple months ago. Like if we like, because people talk about like a 5 cent party and a 10 cent. Like, what happens if we just go like all the way to 15 cents? It's like
that is possible. I mean, 5 cents was supposed to be at Dan Lee's in Oklahoma. Like, we were supposed to have a storm shelter party because I guess they get like tornadoes down there. So we could be in his basement and be like, pumping out like Base Hunter and stuff. But honestly, I think nobody's mentioned Vegas in a while. Like, we were supposed to go to Level Up Expo the end of February, but nobody's mentioned that in a bit. So I'm very curious to see how that unfolds. And then also 10-cent party on Long Island. We go. I told people that'll still be on, even if I'm in Florida by that point. We'll rent out a space here. So I think there'll be a couple of people. I'm definitely not the only one that'll just say like, hey guys, I just want to party, buy your tickets here. And at that point, everybody that's got a little bit of OMI is going to have a decent amount of money. So they'll be like, let's go, Randy Chavez. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's going to be really interesting and to kind of see, like, there's going to be a bunch of people that have never had money before that are going to have money. And I just hope that everyone kind of like all jokes aside, like I hope everyone that like makes a decent amount of money, like talk to a financial advisor, right? Like if you make $1 million and you think you know how to handle it, and you've never made more than like 20, like I'm going to get a financial advisor. Like I'm not an expert when it comes to it either. Right. So yeah, like that's it. Like, do you feel like, do you have something in mind about like someone that you're going to talk to? Cause you're going to have like a lot of money.
So that's the one. I got really lucky when I got out of the military and I go from not having money and, my friend Dan kind of takes me under his wing and I got a taste of it, that first summer, or there was 1 month where I made like $8,000 in 1 month, working under him. And I was like, and so it wasn't a crazy amount, but it's more than I ever made in a month. It's more than I, even like deployment where you're making like not even 4K, but, tax free, whatever. And it's in America. It's really good condition. So, if I were to, some people that never have, especially if they're young, they're going to be stupid. There's going to be people that are going to be stupid. And like I call this, and one of the big things I say is like, guys, there's a learning curve. It opens doors, and not all the doors that money opens are good. Some of them can be very, very bad because you are able to do rich people things, and not all rich people things are good. They can be addictive. Like I have, I don't know if this will, I'll put this on the after school special session. I have never done any hard drugs because I do have an addictive personality. And I know that if I ride that white horse, there's a greater than 0% chance that I do not get off, and that ruins my life. So I won't, not even tempted fate. As far as financial advisor, I have, it sounds so sketchy. I've been talking to a few people on Reddit about their, but not for finances.
Oh, okay. I was like, dude, you're on Wall Street bets trying to get a financial advisor. No. What is going
on? It is about, it's about conservation, because for someone that really wants to go and help, I do know frighteningly little about which uh charities are the best, like how much of the donation goes there, and what's the political side of it, how much is that worth, and how much do they do things just to block other people just to get contracts, and they have for profits to fund their nonprofit. So I have been talking to a couple people about that, because I'd pretty much have to go to school. I would pretty much have to go and put in another few years work in these different charities, because I could be given like $10 million to a charity, and they just let's say like March of Dimes, like 10% of it only goes to the thing, and they go to bonuses. So I really have to be. It's not really about the financial advisor. It's more of knowing what charity, like how to dig deep dive into charities.
That makes sense. And you also want to make sure for like tax purposes you're doing things correctly, and like there might be different like options and things that you have to donate, like certain amounts for like certain benefits and things like that. So yeah, I think it's always important to like look into. Like my wife is like, we're gonna hire someone to do our taxes this year, right? I'm like, I mean, you don't really need to hire someone if you just don't do your taxes. And then I was like, okay, I should probably hire someone. You're right. So
yeah, I mean, from what I've read, like I read, it was on Reddit once as well. It said like, what do you do if you win the lotto, like $100 million or whatever, and somebody says like, don't use like a family lawyer, don't go to like New York, go to like a major city, go to the most reputable place in town, like where you don't know any, like the most Google, like they have 5 stars, whatever, and just talk to some of them, talk to that person, and that's like the safest thing. They say like put like most of it. They had some really outdated things. This was a few years ago. But they said, put most of it in like some trust that gives you like 1% each year, and then making $1 million a year, and you could live off that. And but for the most part, outside of doing make sure the tax things are done well. I don't plan to use like 90%. I made a Facebook post a couple months ago. 90% of what I make will go into conservation and charity. So, if that's $100 million, then $90 million is fine. If it's $1 billion and I put $900 million in, that's also fine. So 100 million. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, you know what? Like I've always respected that you have a vision of what you want to do. Like I'm not at that stage yet where like I'm prepared to like allocate certain funds to different things, because it's just like until it happens, it's like. And it's not like you're making promises to specific people, right? Like you're not like reaching out to charities being like, hey, I'm going to give you this much money. Like, but like for me, like I would hate to like I said, like my first goal is always going to be to like take care of my immediate family. And then obviously if I'm blessed and fortunate enough to be in a position where I have the extra money, I would love to be able to donate to like different causes and things that like are important to myself and my wife and my family. But like until we get to that point, like I'm just not in a position to be like, yeah, I'm going to give 50% of everything away. Like who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll just have to see where that takes us. But I mean, donations are also really good outside of the humanitarian perspective behind it. Like it's also great for taxes, right? So like I'm sure regardless, even if you want to be the Grinch, like even the Grinch still donates money for taxes, right? Because like it's still a write-off. It's still like financially the responsible decision. So I mean, no matter what, like I'm gonna end up donating money at some point, but I'm just waiting to see those numbers go up to a number where it starts to make sense to actually have that be an issue to worry about. So
yeah, and I mean I've thought about tweeting at the Irwins, a couple of times, but I was like, hey, I have $1 million now, but I was like, okay, not yet, because the goal. I mean, one of the goals is to really go to, because I've never been to Australia, is to go there and. Maybe I would tweet at them first, so they're not like blindsided. Do like maybe private show or something like that, and be like, "Hey guys, your whole family, especially Steve's vision, buying wilderness areas. I really want to help with that, and I want to go there when I have a good amount of like, not just like $1 million is great, but I want to be like $10 million. Like I want to go there with more than the family is worth combined, and be like, what can you do with this? And yeah, so and again, that's just in Australia, but I do that with Indonesia. But that's like one of the I would freak out so much if I saw them. Like just they're just such a cool family. They're so chill.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I thought of one day, and I was like, I don't want to promise it, but I was like, I think it'd be cool if I made enough money one day, because I know it's something you've always been passionate about, and for all the things that you do for the community. But I don't think it's going to be a thing that I could do, so I don't mind saying it. But I think it'd be really cool to hire Lindsay Sterling, because I know that's something you've always wanted to do. So I'm like, how cool would it be if like I invited you to an event and I hired her, because I know you've always wanted to see her. So if I can make that happen through whatever, like I would love to be able to do that. I think that
really cool. I said at $1 I'll pay for Lindsay Sterling to do a private show for a bunch of us. If you do it beforehand,
there you go. But, there you go.
But yeah, like that's I forget who it was. I cannot remember the books that I've read no more than the meals I have eaten, but even so, they have made me. And if I like, the community has, kind of made me, what I am, and or at least on YouTube. So if every now and then I can go and just drop a tweet and be like, hey guys, I'm in this city here, like once a quarter, I can go to like different cities and just party it up with people, and just that'd be really fun. I think the community deserves some partying too. So
well, and that's it, right? Like I think it's really about a celebration. Like like it's about, regardless of the finances, whatever. Like it's really about like you've been on this journey with people together for so long. It's just really cool to be able to meet up with them and do whatever. And I really look forward to being able to do that in Canada too. Like there's a couple of great content creators in Canada that are putting out Veve content right now, and I think it would be great to like host like Chad from NFT Pirates is in the Toronto area. Mark Hyun is in the Vancouver area. Like I think it'd be really cool to be able to host like something in Toronto or Ottawa where I live, or Montreal. And I've had people reach out to me and be like, hey, like I would love to come do an event. Like I think it'd just be really cool. Like I've had a couple of people reach out to me privately and be like, hey man, I live in Ottawa. Like just wanted to introduce yourself. And like it's cool. Like I live in a city of 1 million people, but like it doesn't feel like a city of 1 million people. So like it's really cool to be like, hey, and they'll be like, hey, I live in Orleans. And like that doesn't mean anything to you, but like to me, I'm like, oh crap, like you live 20 minutes from me. Like that's too cool. Like it's so cool to see how like this global thing still, like you can still connect with people on like a personal level like that. And yeah. I've always like messed with that. Like that's been really cool for me. So like, yeah, it's cool. And like I love interacting with like I remember the first time that I interacted with you. Like I remember going back to that and being like, oh my God, it's Randy.
When was it? Was it on a stream?
It was on stream, yeah. Like we talked, and I was just like, "Oh my God, like this is amazing!" Like I'm looking like someone that I've looked up to in the community. And then I remember talking to Andre, and I was like, "Shit my pants," you know what I mean? I was like, "Oh my God!" But like, it's so cool to like be able to interact with people and realize like how down to earth people are. Like the amount of conversations that I have with Andre now, and now with Pro, and like whatever. And like you look at them, and you're like, "Oh my God, they must be like this," and then you actually get to talk to them, and you're like, "Oh, they're just like normal dudes like you and me." And I hope that people like, when they meet us, like I saw someone in the comment, they said like, I hope you guys never change or whatever. Like I really hope that people like get that vibe. You know what I mean? Like I really hope that they like enjoy meeting us. I'm going to look forward to meeting people as well. Like, especially with COVID, man, like being like locked up, not being able to like meet people face to face for so long. Like I can't wait. I just absolutely can't wait. I'm so disappointed to hear this event in February. It doesn't sound like it's happening. I think Puddin' Cheek said it was canceled, or maybe it was Veve Darklink. One of them said that it sounds like it's been canceled, probably because of COVID, right? But one of the next Comic-Con events, like assuming everything's all good with that, like I would love to come out there and just meet everyone. I would love to meet the team, like be able to like meet Reese and Alex and Dan and David and obviously other content creators. Like obviously like I've never met you. Like it'll just be really cool, and then hang out with the community. And so
Reese is a beautiful man. He's just got the long flowing hair, and you could tell he lifts because he's got some muscle, and he's just, or maybe it's just genetics. His Australian bod is just like, and
that was like so the first time that I had ever spoken with Reese like face to face kind of was that live that I did for OUPV1 like a month ago. And I remember I was so nervous. I was like pacing like up and down like my basement beforehand, and then he came on, and it's like it just felt so natural. Like he disarms you, he puts you at ease, and it's just Vancouver. Yeah, Gary's a Canadian boy as well.
Gary O, my man.
Gary-o.
Yeah, I see with the Canadian doll hairs over there.
Oh, that's it.
What about me? Yeah, me and Pags aren't too far away from. So again, like you take the pour out of the boy or boy out of the whatever. Like we were talking the other day. He's like, I was over in like Brooklyn with Danielle, and I was like, come meet me. And I'm in somewhere in Jersey, like North Jersey, and it's really only an hour away. I was like, we're a little drunk, and it's just like, just take an Uber. I was like, it's like $100 Uber. It's like I'm thinking it's like $150 Uber, and if he had the ability to reach out of the phone and smack me, he would have. He'd be like, "You have how much, homie? Playing about $100." It was like, I guess you're right, but like just I still think about it, like that's $100, like because I'm still eating Taco Bell every day. So like, but I did splurge a little today. I spent $8 in Taco Bell today, so it is, yeah.
We're getting a little. Someone saw the price of OMI go up, and someone got a little carried away.
So,
oh, man.
Yeah. So that's what happens with that. What do you think? So somebody mentioned up there that not C3, R2D2 is now more than Superman. What are your thoughts on what type of crazy? How much of this is craziness? How much of this is like, well, no, that makes sense because of X, Y, and Z.
My first thought is, why did I only buy one? So that was my initial thought, and then my second thought, like 16,000 editions or 20,000 editions. How many editions of there are R2? Do you know off the top of your head?
R2, I thought it was 13, like 888.
Is it 1388 or something?
I could check.
I'm surprised that it has hit that high that quickly. Because
8,333. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So it has basically the same amount of editions as Superman. So it kind of makes sense that it could have surpassed it. I mean, the Star Wars fan base is just, they're some of the most passionate people, right? And well, many of them might not be on here yet. Investors understand the value proposition of what that fan base will bring. So I owned 3 C3POs at one point. I ended up selling one just to get some liquidity. So I still own 2. And then I have the one R2D2. And of course, I'm never going to break the set. I may sell one C3PO at some point. But it's pretty crazy to see it run up. I think, the entire Disney Golden Moments series is still, I don't want to call it undervalued. Obviously Walt's doing quite well. R2's quite high. Elsa and Iron Man, but like there's some of them down near the bottom, like the Pizza Planet truck and the Avengers logo and things like that, the skateboard, that I think are still going to see some pretty significant run-ups in the short term. So I think that it will probably go up quite a bit, but the R2, it's definitely good to see that it's getting the respect that it deserves as, the first Star Wars collectible on the Veve app. I think Alex G, we'll say that. There we go. Yeah. I think Alex G confirmed that I think we're getting another Star Wars drop at some point. Yeah. I think that kind of came up in a Spaces. So I think that we will probably see them continue to rise in value. And that's one of the things that's going to be very interesting, right? Is like we get the Millennium Falcon or whatever else, like what happens to the Series 1? You know what I mean? Well, it probably becomes even more valuable, right? Because it was the first. And I think we're going to continue to see that as more Disney IP is released. You're going to see the first become more valuable. Like we've had like 10 different versions of Spider-Man come out now. It hasn't hurt the value of the Secret Rare original, right? It's only gone up. The common that has like 32,000 editions is like $1,200. It's absurd, right? So like the first will always have that value, and I think that we'll continue to see that. So I think R2D2.
What he doesn't know is that I actually don't have a thermostat. Like I have radiators, but I don't control what comes out of them. Yes.
Oh my God. So I don't know. I think it's pretty crazy to see that it's going up, but it also doesn't surprise me. Like I wouldn't put it into overvalued territory. If anything, I would say it's starting to approach its appropriate valuation for where we're at currently, but the Superman is undervalued. I think that Superman is undervalued. It's the only Superman on the app. It's the FA of Superman. And it, you know what I mean? Like first collectible drop by DC, like the big thing. Well, not first collectible drop by DC. The first Superman drop by DC, like on the blockchain, like that's big. Only 8,888 of them. I remember the drop. I did it, was lucky enough to get one. And then I only bought one afterwards because I was like, oh, whatever, for 140 gems. So I think my total investment in is like 190 now. And I think they're worth about 8K each. So done fairly well, but I couldn't bring myself to sell either of them. I think my dad would just murder me. Like he's one of the biggest Superman fans, and I've always committed, and I kind of kick myself for it now, but I've always told him, like, I'm going to give you a Superman one day. But I think it would be really cool if I could give him a Superman and be like, hey, I'm giving you a Superman, but like this Superman also pays off your house. Like I think that would be like I think that would be really cool. Like that to me would be like, because you know what I mean? Like you got to think back, like my family, like I said, like I love my parents to death. They just weren't in the financial position to necessarily give me some of the opportunities that they would have liked to. But the unconditional love and support was always there, regardless of how much of an idiot I was when I was a kid. And I think, you know, if I could pay that forward in some way, you know, I would absolutely love to do so. Ideally, what I'd love to do is give him the Superman and pay off his house. Like I would love to do both because I give him the Superman, but then I'm like, now you got to sell it. Then it's kind of just like a slap in the face. So, but yeah. So
I felt so bad for this one guy that I was doing an escrow for him, and you know, like he had, I forget what Myrmecorno it was, and like this is when I first started doing them, so I wasn't charging alligator Lokis yet, and he's like, so as soon as I get it, it was like $20 something, and I was saving for something else, so as soon as I get it, I go to sell it, and then he messages me like 30 seconds or a minute later, and he's like, to take care of her for me. I was like, it's already sold. I was like, it's already, I didn't have the heart to tell him, but it was already sold. And I was like, oh, like I will. He might be here now. I don't know.
So someone made a joke about that collectible that Mike bought you to give to me. They're like, oh, he already sold it. Oh my god, that's
hilarious. Yeah, I got it there. I'll get you. I'll get you afterwards. I mean, the QR code.
Yeah. So what is what is your goal with the Loki? Is it just like he's just like your guy, and you're like, yeah, he resonates with me, or like what's?
Well, I was pretty drunk, but I remember wanting. I remember stupidly, I knew Waltz was going to be big, but I did not have enough gems for him if I didn't get him on the drop. Even like as soon as he got off the drop, 2,400 gems, I didn't have it, and I never wanted to be in that position again where I didn't have the gems for something. Like I couldn't get it, so I sold a lot of my stuff. I had like $25,000 worth of stuff. Like I have 25,000 gems because I was like, if they drop Pokemon, I'm getting it. Like I'm getting it. So, but then they didn't, and then they weren't. I was like, okay. So I just got really tipsy one night. I bought a Fantastic Four #1, a Fantastic Four #5, and a whole bunch of Lokis and some other stuff. And I did it because like, well, it's probably susceptible to burning. It was only 800 mints. And then I really looked into them, and I saw the future of what he will do. And I know people ask me, hey, should I get this or should I get Alligator Loki? I was like, listen, Loki is a moonshot. It's a gamble. It is, you know, spin of the roulette wheel. But I think if everything happens that I think will happen, he will be very, very big. It's the reason why they put him first. And also, I wanted to take something that was mine. That I only told this to one person on a comment, but I could have very well bought a bunch of Spider-Man or a bunch of Batman, or I had 25,000 gems, but I'd be one of how many tens or hundreds of millions of people that love Spider-Man or Batman or whatever, and nobody, no one was really showing him love. And if I wanted to be the Brown Steve Irwin, then a good way to do that is getting a lot of alligators, and that is a way to go. And there's been a couple of these is a fan art of me with the alligator Loki or with alligator Loki helmet stuff on, and nobody had that. Like nobody was like, I don't know if you ever remember in the Lego movie where it's like they sing a song, and this guy Bob or whoever he does everything that you're supposed to do. He goes to work, he sings songs, he does whatever, but there's nothing special about him. Right. He's like, but even this guy, he likes sausages. It's not much, but it's something. You don't have anything. You're not unique. So as if I'm not unique enough with like the long hair and the black nail polish, but I wanted to separate myself somehow, and Alligator Loki was undervalued, and nobody else like claimed him as his own. And I thought that that was a really good way to build the Chavez brand. Be like, okay, this is my one thing. I'm going to buy a bunch of them. You know, I don't have. I think I have the most Alligator Lokis combined, but I do know two people that have more secret rares than me, and
Wow.
I think one person might have more commons than I do. But also, again, I kind of shot myself in the foot. I don't sell Lokis, but there is 13% of the Lokis locked up between me and 3 other people of the secret rares. So out of the secret rares, 13% of them are locked up. So like over 100 will never be seen again. And yeah, you know, take a look at, you know, they made a Funko Pop of them. Go on IGN.com on Instagram saying, hey, they put out a post, say, who's your favorite Loki of 2022? Overwhelmingly, 99% of people posted just alligator, 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 alligator.
Wow.
Like just so.
So I guess what it boils down to is there is some method to the madness. Like
Yeah.
there is something to it. And you know, I was thinking about it while you were telling your story. Like what collectible do I own that separates me from everyone else? Like what story can I tell? And like I actually kind of like the narrative that I sold the Spider-Man for $1,600.
Wow.
You know, like I really feel like, and I didn't for the longest time because I felt like a failure, which I mean, how could you not when you do that?
Wow.
But, you know, I will say, you know, big props to the vast majority of the community that reached out to me kind of with their own stories of, you know, I sold this collectible, you know, at this price. Like even now in the chat, like Puddin Cheeks was like, yeah, I sold the collectible for this amount of money. Like, you know, like if you can't laugh from your own kind of mistakes and learn from them, like how are you going to learn from something you've never tried it? You know what I mean? Like I've learned that selling collectibles that are grails for liquidity is a terrible idea. You know what I mean? Like back in August, like this is the January 2022 Foster reminding the August 2021 Foster that was a terrible idea, right? But even with that abundantly obvious failure, like I've still made a $300,000 portfolio with 15,000 invested on Veve, right? Like, and that's without the original money that I invested into this. So I'd be at like 300 and I'd be at 400,000, right? Like
Yeah.
as much as I would love to be at that, it was a mistake. I've learned from it. And I feel like I can give better advice, suggestions, ideas to people because I understand what it's like to be there. And then when people come to me and they're like, hey, I'm struggling with this, I've made a mistake, I can tell them from an honest place that like, it's okay, it's recoverable. Like you can make this mistake. And like, that's what I love about Veve. Like it's almost impossible to not make money. You know, like I'm not going to say it is impossible to not make money. Like obviously, it's, you know, whatever, but like I had no idea what I was doing. I knew nothing about collectibles. I was invested in the OMI token. I started buying collectibles. I wasn't big on socials for like keeping up with what was happening. I wasn't connected with all the groups that I am now. Like I wasn't learning about the collectibles, the lore and everything behind them. I was just buying them. They were shiny objects on a screen and then I was flipping them for whatever, right? So, but if I can do it, like that's truly a testament that if I can do it, anyone can do it, right? Because like there's nothing special about me. I'll be honest. When it comes to the OMI token, I know some stuff. I'm that guy. But when it comes to the collectibles, like I listen a lot and I learn, but I'm not anyone special. So like if you can do it, and like people like Sam Ellis, like who can invest $200 and make 6 figures. You know what I mean? Like there's people, there's tons of people. There might even be some people in this chat right now that have invested far less than me and have done far better. And I am 100% happy for you. I'm glad to see your success. I celebrate everyone's success. But it's okay to make mistakes too. And that's kind of the point that I want to hammer home with all of that. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. And as much as I would love to have not made that mistake, maybe once OMI moons, I'll buy a Spider-Man back. We'll see. Yeah.
I think that's really important, knowing where people are coming from. It's like, I remember that this guy, I forget where I saw him. He was a personal trainer, and a lot of his bigger is obese clients say, like, listen, you know, this is easy for you to say, is you don't know what it's like. So he spent 6 months getting really fat, and then he spent another 6 months losing weight. just so he can say like, yeah, don't tell me I don't know what it's like, because this was me like 6 months ago. This is me, so I think that's really important for some people, because then now, for you to, so they can tell to me like, maybe they could say Abraham Spider-Man 2 as I sold, but they,
hey, that's what we have in common. It's
that's
just
what we
you
got
made
without
an extra $80,000. So that's fine.
But yeah, I think people can go to me and say like, hey, well, it's easy for you to say you haven't paper handed anything, but they can't say that about you. Like they can't say that you haven't felt a little bit of regret and a little bit of whatever. People mentioning Star Wars over here. One of the things that I'm waiting for is, like I said, not all the Star Wars fans are here yet. And one of the YouTube rewinds, or like back when it was like Zeitgeist, like your interview, it was 2015, where The Force Awakens was coming out, and they had this guy. He was like, I think a minister or a reverend. He was one of those that had like a white collar on with like the black shirt.
Yeah.
And I think it was the Fine Bros or someone. They were filming him watching the Force Awakens trailer, and you just see him kind of like this, but then you hear, and then he goes, chili, like he turns into a little kid again at like 8 years old. Like, someone over there said that they were selling whatever they were selling just so they could get a life-size C-3PO statue. Like, this crazy money will come in here. Yeah. So
it's an interesting conversation, because I saw someone bring it up. Might have been someone being facetious. It might not have been. Where was it? Because I thought it was an interesting talking point. General 69 back at 10:45. No, that's fine. On that note, though, because it's just gems, it's not worth anything. I'll give you my my account afterwards, and you can send me all of your gems, since they're not worth anything. So I'm sure you would have no problem doing that. So yeah, so I am curious, because that is an actual good point of conversation. What are your thoughts on that? Because I have one line of thinking on it, and then I have another line of thinking on it. Well, before I give my thoughts, I'm curious what you think. Like having these catalysts come in, like, is it going to be a net positive, or what's going to happen with
talking about MTL or the gems?
Yeah, MTL, OMI to NFT, big drops. Like, are we overinflated in the marketplace right now? Are we going to crash? I saw someone say Superman's going to go back to $1,000.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, sure.
I mean, it depends. If they say that, hey, MTL rolls out, and let's say they get on exchanges, whatever, but there's still no OMI to NFT, and they say, hey, MTL rolls out, and they push a button and everyone's allowed to cash out at once, then I could see a bit of a dip. I could see millions being cashed out, probably tens of millions.
Yeah.
If not 100 million might be a lot, because I think Mark Hunn put out a poll saying MTL happens right now. Do you sell everything? Do you take a little bit of profit, or do you hodl? And there were people that said, yeah, I will sell everything. And there were people that said, yeah, I'll take some profit. But the majority of people said that they're just going to hodl. And same here, I wouldn't cash out anything. And again, the people that are probably looking to cash out probably don't have a ton to cash out. And if they do, they're probably not going to cash out everything, because, like you said before, the prices that rise so quickly de-incentivize people to sell, because you're losing future profits. So even if they did do that, I think that with the amount of money coming in, even if, let's say, for a week, we have, let's say, $10 million coming out every single day, and we only have $3 or $4 million, coming in, actually only lose about $6 million a day, which is, again, a lot of the whales are and that's if it happens with no OMI to NFT. And they're not going to do that where they click a button and everyone goes on at the same time. They'll do little by little. And with OMI to NFT, you're going to be able to, why would you, at least for the US, why would you cash out to a currency that is, trillions of dollars are printed each year, when you could cash out to a crypto that is deflationary, and the opposite of that happens? So a lot of people are probably going to do that. And there are some countries that won't even be able to have the ability to cash out the fiat. They will have to do it to OMI. So I really don't see any big dip with that. If anything, I do see that as a big catalyst, because that means, hey, people can't say, all right, one MTL, they're just, e-scammy David Rosen's mom or David Rosen.
David Rosen, yeah, classic. You know what? It's interesting because while you were talking about that, a shout out to Puddin Cheeks. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but I pulled up his spreadsheet for the OMI token burns.
Yeah.
The estimated gems that are in the app, there's about 94.9, we'll call it 95 million gems in the app.
95 million?
95 million gems in the app. So there's been about 121 million spent in the store. And there's been 215 million total gems purchased. So there's 94 million gems sitting on the app. So conceivably, up to $94 million could be cashed out. That would be the total amount. Now, you have to figure, considering that in the last 7 days, we've had about 20 million gems enter the marketplace. People aren't buying in right now, at least in my opinion, to immediately cash out. That's not the intention. It's to invest in things before they really take off, which is going to happen soon enough. So if you figure the number 70 million, even if you think 50% of people are going to cash out all of their money, which is ridiculous, that's not going to happen, that's 35 million. And 35 million would definitely put some pressure on the collectibles. So, you know, I do think based on the numbers, we could see a correction. But once again, we got 20 million the next 7 days. We could get, if you say 35 million are being cashed out, we may receive a gem infusion of another $30 million in the next 7 days, which I think almost completely offsets any of the collectibles. So I saw Puddin Cheeks, he said he was here. Shout out, bro. Thanks for putting out this information to the community. Super solid. I'm glad to see it. He put out a tweet. I don't even
put out a couple today. One was
he put out one, but it sounded like we were at like 3.8 million or something today.
Okay, that's great. That's amazing.
I don't know what it is, but yeah. So I think with all of the new gems entering the app, I think it would more than offset any of the gems leaving the app, because once again, there's still gems sitting on the sidelines that people have no intention of cashing out, but they're using as liquidity to buy up as people sell, right? Like people have things listed. They're just looking to load up, right? Like for all we know, there could be one whale sitting with like 10 million gems on his account, for all we know, right? Or like a couple of whales with a few million gems. Like there are whales like that out there. Those silent whales that are buying up, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of the most expensive grails. So, you know, I really don't think it's going to be as big of an impact as some people think that it is. Will people take profit? Of course. But once again, like we're still onboarding 20,000 new people every single day and people are still buying gems. So
yeah.
And he says we're over 4.1 million now in 2 hours to go. Incredible.
Oh, let's get this, bro.
In 24 hours, people
I love this game. I love this game. That's been like the crazy. So yeah, it's been the craziest catchphrase. Like we used to do that in the high risk lending business, where people would say, you know, we give them out a term, we lend them out so much money, and it's like, hey, I got paid off early by these people. Can I pay off now? And yeah, we'll give you a prepayment discount. You know, so we get money that we thought was expected out on the street, you know, for another 8 months or whatever. Comes back in like 3 months. We're like, I love this game. You know, we just get paid early. So I brought that here. It's kind of a catchphrase. That's also, awesome. I don't know if you've seen. I didn't know this was real until Jeremy Padawar tweeted about it. But Al Khan is on Twitter. Jeremy Padawar confirmed. And why choose right now to come out on Twitter? Out of all, now I get it. Maybe he meant to come out a couple weeks ago or a month ago. He was sick. I think he might have had COVID. But it seems to be fine. And why come out right now? Why not go at big announcement coming maybe in the future?
Dude, I actually had a heart attack. I do my best to keep up on everything that happens on Twitter. I don't always get a chance to keep up with everything nowadays. But someone posted about that and shared it with me in a group. And I clicked on it because the guy only had like 40 followers. And I was like, great, we have another impersonator account, whatever. And then I looked and I was like, oh, he's following me. Are you serious? Like, why am I getting roped into this nonsense? And then it was confirmed that I was him. And I was like, holy crap, wait, Alfred Kahn follows me on Twitter? Like,
he is following you?
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter.
Yo, girl, why isn't he following me? He's only following
I'm going to have to message him. I'm going to make it happen. I have no idea. I am a gnat underneath this guy's boot. I have no idea how he even knows who I am or any. Yeah, it was the craziest thing. I was like, it must have been a misclick. I don't know who he was looking for, but yeah, it's crazy. Oh, wait. It looks like it might not have been him. It might have been an impersonator. Hold on. I'm discovering this live right now. This might be a different.
I mean, if I go to Jeremy Pador, he tweeted about it before, saying he was real.
Interesting. Was it this person?
Yeah, he's got 14,000 followers, following 6 people.
1,400 followers. Oh well, now I'm just hurt.
Yeah, he's not following you.
When I looked earlier today, he had like 43 followers, and he was following 37 people. And I was one of the people that he was following. He doesn't follow me anymore.
Oh, yeah. He's got following 6 people.
It was a misclick. It was a misclick. This is that moment in the movie where like just the white spotlight shines on you and it sinks in like
194 million OMI burned today.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
It's great. Did we have a drop? Yeah, we had drops every day.
We have drops every day. Yeah. Have you been going for those comic books?
Yeah, I got one yesterday. I didn't go today, and I kind of looked at it and I was like, Comics and Crypto had it as a sell. But I got the common yesterday. I was like, all right, so listen for 12. I could listen for 11, and then I could make $3 on this if I wasn't gonna for 3. I'll collect that quarter point every day for the Master Collector programs. Like, probably fine.
I'm on my night rotation at work right now, and I was like, do I really want to wake up for this to compete? And I just haven't. I've set my alarm for like 11:45 in the morning, and if I wake up naturally beforehand and I'm able to compete, I'll compete. But otherwise, like, it's really interesting how we're getting to the point now where it's like you're going to compete for the things that you want to compete for and then not compete for the things you don't want to compete for. Like there's so many things that are going to be coming on the app that you're just not going to be able to compete for everything. Like, I don't know if you remember Decon weekend with like the 15 drops. Like my whole weekend was just like, I was just on my phone the whole weekend. I was like, this is not the way I want to live my life. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting as we start to see more and more drops. People are really going to break out into like the individual fandoms.
Agreed. Yeah. I kind of shot myself in the foot because I told people like I'll be covering every drop. So now I have to cover every drop. And now it just Decon week was insane. Dude, Taps was so funny that he partied really hard the night before, and he's like, "Hey Randy, just wake me up for the drop." And so he falls asleep like with his shoes on. Like he's
God.
He's so cool. He's so chill. So I wake him up for the one thing, and one thing he wakes up for is like, okay, it's like, I missed it. Okay, go back to sleep now. And then the next thing, I wake him up an hour later, like, okay, going for the drop. He's like, okay, I'll go for the drop. And then I go for the drop. I missed it. What about you? I was like, I'm like, Taps, and he's like, what? I was like, you missed. Like, I just told you. It was like, oh, like he fell asleep in like the 30 seconds that he says, yeah, okay, I'll go for it. And he's snoring again.
Oh my God.
He's great. He was fun. Dude, you need to come. You need to go. It's to one of these events. I can't wait to.
Oh man, I absolutely can't wait. I'm definitely going to be able to make it out, and yeah, like,
yeah, it's good. We had Henry Pag saying that Marvel Comics #1, the common is at like $600, $650. Do you have any of those?
Marvel Comics #1 common, I own, between my wife and I, we owned 11, but I gave one to my brother and one to my dad to try and entice them to get onto Veve. And of course, this was the time when they were like $14, or no, they weren't. They were like $40, I think, when I gave it to them. And like, I was being like a good son / brother, like, whatever. And now they're worth like whatever they're worth. Do I even want to know?
Yeah, $650. So I gave a few of those away when I was doing giveaways. And could you imagine people that bought them for $7 and sold them for $4? Like,
you know what? That's the craziest part. Like, we were going for the drop, and right, like I had an account, my wife had an account, so we have 2 accounts. We're both going for them, and she's like, "I'm still getting them," and I'm like, "I'm still getting them," and she's like, do we keep going? And I was like, I don't know. And we got to like 5 each. And then I did like a 6th one because I was like, oh, whatever. I'm going to be rebellious. I'm going to spend $50 or whatever, right? And they're like, oh, are these going to be worth anything? And then they go on the marketplace for like $3, and she's like, what is this crap you made us buy? And like, I didn't buy any of them. Like, it's one of those things. Like, it's the whole crystal ball thing. Like the Spider-Man. Like, there's just been like I sold Amelia Earhart like for like $325, and she's like $4,000 or $5,000 now. Like there's just, I mean, what I've akin it to is like, there's never going to be an appropriate time to sell OMI, or not OMI, Veve Collectibles. I was reading OMI in the chat. There's never going to be an appropriate time, right? Like, there's just never going to be. So like, you just have to accept, like, you sold it to do X, Y, Z with it. And if you were able to make that money do some work for you, perfect. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to be a lot of sleepless nights for sure. Going to be a lot of sleepless nights for sure.
I agree. I wish there was like I said, like I wish I would have loaded up, but I didn't. Regret. I know a couple people that did. I was like, yeah, I think these will do well, and I was like, all right. I mean, it's not doing well off the start, and then they just absolutely goes to the heck of the moon. It's like, oh my god. I just checked. I have 200 something collectibles, and
nice.
More than 40% of them are Lokis, because I have like 114 just the common. So it's
you're the king of putting all of your eggs in one basket. So like, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me, but at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, I support everyone's decisions. I mean, obviously the Loki thing, like it works with your brand. So like, that's great. But like overall, yeah.
Oh, King of NFTs saved 35 gems by buying a Joey M Batman instead of a Todd. Oh, we feel you on that. Feel you, rip and pasta. So the argument before me that gems aren't money. I think that I know we kind of touched on it before. But I like you said before, say like, hey, I'll buy your gems then at like a hefty discount, and I bet you nobody does it. I mean, somebody might, because they just want to cash out. But what do you think that'll do to whale manipulation with the prices, where they can buy 10,000 gems for $7,000, and then they can get something, and they can do that twice. They can get a $20,000 thing for $14,000. Do you think that will we'll stop seeing whale manipulation, or the whales have too much power now? Like, and it doesn't matter. Like they'll dump collectibles like they did with OMI. They say, okay, now we're gonna list all these, and people will freak out, and then they'll sell theirs at a lower price so we could buy them up.
I mean, that'll definitely happen to an extent. I think it really comes down to what your goals are with the collecting, right? Like, if you're collecting to take a profit and then you see a downturn and you immediately sell because you're nervous, then yeah, I guess you may lose out on that short term. I mean, obviously the biggest issue that we have with gems right now as a concept is, like you said, you can buy them from other people that are selling them for cheaper than what the actual value is of them, which, I mean, isn't an issue, because once the MTL comes in, you're still withdrawing 1-to-1. So like, that's not the end of the world. Where it becomes a problem is like you said, is the true valuation of some of these collectibles XYZ, because of what they're actually being paid for in USD or whatever currency people are using to load up on these gems. I mean, we have 1.5 million active monthly users on the app. I mean, obviously, like the Secret Rare Spider-Man or a Donnie or something might be out of most people's price range, but like a $100 or $200 collectible right now with whatever floor it's on is probably not going to be outside of anyone's price range. Can that still be manipulated? Sure, but like, if you have like the highest edition run of any collectible we have, like outside of like some of the Marvel Mighties and stuff, like you even look at like the common Spider-Man, which we used as an example earlier, 32,000 editions, and it's worth over $1,000. Like, the demand will always far outweigh the supply. Like, it's not like you're buying a skin on Fortnite that's unlimited, right? Like there's a limited amount of specific collectibles. And if the collectible has that value, people will pay the fair market value for whatever that collectible is worth. So if you have, we look at the Star Wars, we're talking about the R2-D2 up over passing Superman at $8,000. Like, we have 1.5 million people. If, 1% of them are Star Wars fans, that's 15,000 people. okay, maybe it's not worth that much to 15,000 people. Maybe 50% of those people don't have $8,000. But if 10% of people are fans of Star Wars, it's 150,000 people. And 150,000 people at, whatever, 8,000 editions or whatever it is, like 1 out of every 10 people can own it. Well, then what happens when we have 10 million people on the app? Well, now 1 out of every 100 people that is interested in that collectible and has the means can own it. Well, that's when you start to see the competition and you see the values go up, right? But for certain items, like, and I've made mention of this in previous videos that I've made, like the Secret Rare Lincoln Design Co. skateboard that has like 250 editions that went up to like $11,000 the day it was released. Then they had issues with double minting and whatever. Like, I think it's down to like $3,000 right now. Like, scarcity in and of itself is not what drives the value of most of these collectibles on the app. There's definitely some collectibles that are driven by scarcity, but it's more so because there's certain people in the community that will hype the item because they own it and it's scarce. And those are the collectibles you really have to worry about because they're the ones that are most easily manipulated, right? Like, it's much more difficult to manipulate a collectible that has, like, for instance, the common Spider-Man that has 32,000 editions. You need to own a significant portion of those collectibles in order to manipulate their price, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a collectible that has 250 editions, if you own a percentage of them, it's much more easy to manipulate, which is why you see things like Donnie's. And that's why you see certain people will say, like, Donnie, Todd, Superman, the OG collectibles, especially Donnie and Todd, that were around when people could load up, a bunch of them. Like I would venture to guess that maybe a dozen people own all of the Donnies, right? Like, maybe 2 dozen. Like, even
I think now they might be more.
Have they spread out a little bit more?
Okay. Yeah, now, I mean, after a year,
Yeah. So what? There's 150 Donnies. How many people do you think own a Donnie?
Original. I mean, again, you figure like
originally, like we'll call it a year ago. Like, how many people?
Well, and figure 110 because they kept probably 40.
Oh,
so.
True.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, probably less than a dozen people, maybe 8 or 9 people probably own them. And then now there's more just because they sold through the year. Something gets one, something gets another.
And that's the problem, right? Is when you have a collectible that has that few additions related to it, it just makes it much more easy to manipulate, right? Like, it's just one of those things. So, will we continue to see that as more people enter the app? Once again, it just depends on the price point. If it's a price point that's accessible to enough people, you won't see the manipulation because you'll have enough people on board to outstrip the supply. Are you going to see Secret Rare Spider-Man continue to moon in the short term? I mean, it's definitely possible, but it's very difficult to get that many gems on the app right now. So with that as a roadblock, in the short term, until we get that, I don't think it goes much higher. But I think once we get OMI to NFT and you got people with Ethereum and stuff coming in, yeah, you're going to see some pretty crazy things happen.
Yeah, I think if you have I've said 500,000, but then I said, when I sold it, I made the video saying, even if it does a 20x from where it was, it'd be 1.36 million. And, which I think is, let's say that is possible. That for that OMI would have to go to 15 cents to match that. I think it would. So that's why I did that. But do you have any price predictions for Spider-Man or so 2 questions. Price prediction for Spider-Man, what do you think it could get to? And then what you think is a sleeper right now? Like, you know what? People probably aren't paying enough attention to this.
I could definitely see Superman by the end of this year being at least $250,000, pretty conservatively.
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, did I say Superman?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people do that. They say,
hey, you know what? If Superman wants to go to $250,000, hey, I'll gift wrap that. No. So the Spider-Man Secret Rare, I see being at least 250,000. I know that there's several people that say that it's going to be the first $1 million collectible on Veve. Yeah. I believe that that'll probably be true as well. I don't know whether it 10x's with everything else that people can put money in as well. And I think there's also a difference between a floor and like what people are like actually buying at too. Like it may look like for instance, Walt earlier today had a $40,000 floor. It's down at 30,000. So it wasn't really the floor. People weren't buying at it. People were delisting and now people are undercutting, right? So like, is the floor for Spider-Man really 100K even? Well, I thought it was being listed for like 80 something thousand earlier today, right? Like, did that one get bought? I don't know. I haven't looked yet. So, is it really the floor? So like, will it hit $1 million? Well, maybe a bunch of people could just agree to delist and then list one for $1 million and it hit $1 million. But will it be at that valuation? I don't know. But I think comfortably it will be at a quarter, if not $500,000. What was the second one you asked about? The second grail, or was there?
It wasn't really a grail. It's like, what one do you think is sleeping, or what like people are sleeping on? Like, hey, people aren't paying enough attention to this particular collectible, and here's why.
I think. I mean, it's done a run up recently, so I don't want to say that it's as undervalued as it was maybe 3 or 4 days ago. But I think Steamboat Willie was definitely pretty undervalued. I think because
Which
it didn't
one?
have
The common, the ultra rare,
the whole set,
all of them.
the whole set. So like recently, like I think the ultra rares hit more of a fair valuation at this point. It's like 9,500 or something, or at least it was earlier. So, but like it was down to like 5K a few days ago. You know what I mean? Like it was definitely undervalued relative to its edition size, to what it represented, to the size of the partner statue and the other golden moments. If it gets an FE or an FA tag, that thing's just going to absolutely take off. And even if it doesn't get an FE or an FA tag, it still doesn't hurt to have one. Now, obviously, disclosure, and I mentioned it earlier in the stream, I do own 4 common, 2 uncommon, and 2 ultra rares. So I do have a vested interest in you buying one of these collectibles. I think that they've already run up a little bit, so I don't want to go so far as to say that they're undervalued. The common hit over $1,000, but like the common was at under on January 11th. In my group, it was one of the things that I said, hey, you need to focus on right now. Is common Deadpool, uncommon Storm. There was 1 or 2 others, and then I said the entire Steamboat Willie set, or I said Elsa and one other. Every single one of those collectibles, without fail, has 2x since I made that prediction.
Nice.
Now, to be fair, because I know some people in the comment section are like, you could throw a dart at a dartboard and something would have 2x in the last one. But that doesn't mean that the collectible at the time wasn't undervalued as to why it grew. So I'm investing in things right now that I consider to be blue chip and that will have value long term. So that's generally most things Disney, obviously the DC. I'm sticking away from a lot of the independent artists. I love the work and I think it's cool, but I think that my money, for the money that I have access to, is better served going to more blue chip / grail type options. So I'd say the Steamboat Willie set is starting to hit more of a fair valuation, but I could definitely see the ultra rare being at about 50% of what the partner statue is worth, just based on what it is. And I think the ultra rare is maybe just under 10K right now, and the Walt is hovering anywhere between 30 and 40. So I definitely think that, you could see another couple $1,000 push on that. Obviously not financial advice. I'm not saying go out and get one, but it's just something you can keep an eye on. Like, hey, I said this on the 18th. Where is it at, in a couple of days or whatever. So that's what I would say with that. And then if there's another one, I would generally say an interesting trend that I've noticed is collectibles that get released on drop day that have a big edition size and maybe aren't considered like tier A collectibles generally get slept on. So like as a perfect example, Sue Storm got released and like the common was selling for under retail. Now I will say I personally haven't picked one up yet either. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it often seems like, it happened with Deadpool, it happened with Storm, and I've learned my lessons from seeing what happened with Spider-Man and seeing what happened with Captain America. I got 10 common Deadpools and I didn't buy them at floor. It was like under 3,000 edition number. I bought 10 of them with an average cost basis of like $90, but the floor was like 60. And I think the floor now is like 150 to 200. So like, and I own 10 of them. I haven't sold any of them, and I'm not planning on selling them anytime soon because I saw what happened with Spider-Man. And same with Storm. I bought 10 uncommon Storm, all 3-digit or exactly like 1,000 to 1,100 for like under like $80 to $100. And I think it was fluctuating at floor 75 to 80. And at the time when I was doing it, it was at like 44. So I think if you can load up, like if you have like a couple extra gems and you're looking to speculate on something short term, like it might not be a bad idea to pick up a Sue Storm. Like I said, I don't personally own any of them.
I got the whole set.
Do you? Yeah. But like, what do you think? Like, do you see anything that's undervalued, or you're not sure?
I see it like I see it as Sue Storm is so strong. She is so like, she's not not like an actual Storm, like Omega level mutant, but she is a so in the Secret Wars, there's a thing that happens in incursions happening where Illuminati gets notified that the multiverse is collapsing and another Earth is about to crash into our Earth, and they have 8 hours to stop it. And this happens over and over again. But in one of the times where Sue Storm finds out, she puts a force field around the world, and it delays another whole world from stopping, from hitting. I was like, oh my god, like she is so freaking powerful. You know, she could with her force field, she could hold like Captain America, she could hold Thor. There's almost no one that she can't hold, and it's exposed so many times. And I feel like people don't really know that because there's only been crappy movies made about her, and there's only been a couple of things where, if you don't read the comics, you really don't know about her. There will be more of her. She is the first, like they made, you know how they have, okay, for the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one was Groot, the first one for Loki was Alligator Loki. She is the first of the X-Men. And that is such a huge thing. Marvel's first family. The movies haven't done that justice. That is a really cool family. Has Doctor Doom. There's kids everywhere. Again, Kang Conqueror, descendant of Rich Reed, or Reed Richards. I'm sorry. And yeah, I'm very, very bullish on her. So again, I didn't go crazy. I do have the full set though. But yeah, I think there is a thing for stacking. I think because again, if you know you buy one of each of something, and then you know, let's say you get a Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you get one of these and one of those. It's like you have so much to track. But you know, if you get 10 Deadpool or you get 10 whatever, then if that goes up $10, well, you didn't just make $10, you made $100 because you have 10 of them. So when 114 Alligator Lokis went from $60 to $100, like I love this game. It was great.
That's awesome.
But Jerry Padower just shared a tweet saying that I'm astonished. Primary 25 to 30 million for the OMI burn, and secondary 165 to 170 million, shattering all of the secondary market transaction days. It is mind-blowing. If the activity for a year averaged 165 million secondary market burn, which is what we had today, that would be 60 billion OMI burned with no new drops, which is just bananas. So, wow.
Well, you know what? And I made a video about that a week or two ago because, you know, people that understand the tokenomics to like there's people that don't understand the tokenomics at all. They're just like, it's an OMI token, I invest in it. And there's people that understand a little bit of it, and there's people that understand more. The people that understand a little bit of it are mostly the people that will make this argument. They'll say, yeah, but the OMI price is not going to stay the same the whole year. So this argument is invalidated. And what I try and get across to people in videos, and I'll respond to their comments and whatever, is yes, granted, the OMI token is not going to stay the same for an entire year. That's fine. But at the same time, the amount of money that is coming in the space is also not going to stay the same, right? So like David Yu has already come out and said that they're predicting $1 billion in revenue in 2022. We made about 100 million in year one, right? So if the OMI token goes up 10x, you now need to burn 10 times more to accomplish the same goal. But if 10 times the amount of money comes in and is being spent on drops, the drop sizes are larger, there's more money being spent in the secondary market, and collectibles in the secondary market are more expensive, then it essentially offsets, right? Like if you have 110 and you have 1,100, it's still a 10. It's still a 10x, right? So that's what people need to understand. Is like, even if the OMI token 10x's, but the amount of money that we have in the space 10x's, we're still burning that same amount of OMI.
Yeah.
So like even if OMI goes to 7 cents this year, we can still burn the exact same 60 billion amount of OMI, assuming that we hit $1 billion in revenue. And once again, the OMI burn that he's referencing is coming from the reserve wallet, which doesn't even affect the circulating supply. The OMI that we're going to be burning once we get OMI to NFT, OMI to land, OMI to non-specific IP in the Veveverse comes from the circulating supply. So that's actually going to directly impact the price of the token on a daily basis. It also doesn't account for staking, because staking also locks up liquidity and raises the value. So it's actually very easy to see with the amount of money that's going to be coming in. And this is from the team. This isn't just speculation. Like if you take that $1 billion number and you run the numbers, it's not too far-fetched to assume that we could burn 20% of the OMI token in over a year. You know what I mean? Which the impact that would have on the price is just stupid. So yeah,
This is why I say, 30 cents we could have, in the normal bull case, and then, several dollars by the end of the decade. But I think David is wildly underplaying his hand here. And I posted on 28 December that I think we'll do 2 billion in revenue. And I pinned that. I've never pinned a tweet before. It's going to stay there. I do think we have 20 million monthly active users at the end of the year as well. They haven't done marketing, and when marketing comes, they have not used, I don't think, any of their agreement with Rogers and Cowan. If they did, the James Bond NFT ticket would have been huge. Everything would have been absolutely bananas.
I love that, and I think for me, I've always been of the mentality to under promise and over deliver, and I try and take that mentality into the way that I do calculations with the expectations that I have for certain things. And I think for me, that's what stops me from just coming out and being like $1 OMI end of 2022, because like there's definitely catalysts, and I'll make this very clear to everyone watching. Like, there's definitely catalysts that can make that happen. Like, it's not unreasonable to assume that OMI could hit $1 by the end of this year. But until I see those things and can actually like chart it out with some sense of like, hey, I'm not just blowing smoke, like, I'm not going to come out and say that. Now, the day that you see that video come out from me, it will not be clickbait, and you better watch it, because it's going to be nuts. Like, once this OUP comes out and I can map out, like, how many people stake, how many people we get on board, like, once we get exchange listings, if we get a Coinbase NFT partnership, like, if we get those things and we get to the numbers that you predict, I'm going to be like Scrooge McDuck, when he dives into like the pool of gold coins. Like, it's it'll be chocolate gold, because I like chocolate. But yeah,
it'd be great. And as the price goes higher, that 2.5% fee gets higher as well. You burn more of it. So
and that's the thing. Like, in my screenshot of my video today, I have a Todd Batman and a partner statue listed. Just shameless plug. If anyone wants to follow me, I am following everyone on Veve that's following me back. So feel free to follow me. I will follow you back. Looking to get more friends inside the Veveverse here for when that rolls out. So if you guys want to follow me, you can. 9.9 million Foster Hilt. That's my name. If you don't, that's totally okay too. But when I was making the screenshot of my video for today, I listed a collectible for $9.9 million. And then I screenshotted the success fee. And the success fee at 8.5% is $850,000. And it's not, we've seen NFTs sell for $50 million, $60 million, so it's like, now am I saying that every sale that happens, but even if you say Spider-Man's going to hit $1 million and then people are buying Spider-Mans for $1 million, that burns $85,000 of every transaction. Could you imagine burning $85,000 in OMI in one transaction? It's just
that's insane. That's nuts. That's bananas.
Oh, it's nonsense.
Yeah. And there's other things that I don't like. There's a couple of people in Pokemon that are in here now, and I don't know if they really understand. Right? Well, the Pokemon people understand. The people that are not in Pokemon might not. Like, in Pokemon, there's, you get a serial number, and you get like, okay, this is, let's say 12. Out of first edition or out of PSA 10, that number can only go up because there's other of these cards out there, and everything that you grade that you get, let's say it's Charizard or it's Arcanine, Zapdos, whatever, that number that in the population report of PSA only goes up because people have cards and they send them in. And so you're actually diluting the thing. But I guess for OMI too, but for the collectibles, as people burn them at some point, that number will only go down. So there's, let's say, 32,000 of, like, I don't know how much they burned of the Captain Americas, because they weren't selling out. How much of those did they burn? How many thousand? Like, we don't have 22,000 Captain Americas. We have to have a well under 20, 15,000. And I don't know if people know that yet. And I don't know how many of those will continue to be burned as stuff goes on. So the amount that's available is only going to go down. I'm very, very happy about that.
Well, and on top of that, like, people, unfortunately passing away or losing interest and never using their collectibles, especially now that market listings get removed after 30 days. Like, you're really going to start to see, like, you may see a collectible that has like one listed in the marketplace for it. It's like, oh damn, like I really need to like go get that right now. You know what I mean? Like we're really blessed right now to see these collectibles at these prices. And like you said, like even people will make a point, and like not everyone connects the dots, but like people will point out like only, 200 Elsas listed in the marketplace of 12,000. Like, and people are like, well, that's still 200. And it's like, okay, but you have to understand that that's like 2%, right? Like the fact that so many people are holding that is like, that, that's a big deal. So
it's so low. Some of these are so, especially season 1 stuff, like Adventure Time stuff, that it's so low. Puddin' Cheeks was saying, wait until we have OMI raffle for 1-to-1 collectibles. What do you think that's going to do?
So I've heard that apparently, and I don't know how they would work this because like OMI is an actual currency, but like apparently you're going to be able to bid like OMI. And then if you don't win, you get like 90% of your OMI back, which contributes to an OMI burn of 10%. But like if I bid $100,000 in OMI to get a collectible and I don't win, am I like really losing $10,000? Because like why would I ever want to do that? Right. So like I don't know. Like, I think if they're going to do one of ones, they need to give people 100% of their OMI back. And then, like, if you want to go just like it's a one of one Blaine's Charizard, and you're like, I'm doing 50 million OMI, I don't care. And you want to just like YOLO that. But like, I shouldn't be punished because, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, as long as you know beforehand what's going on. But what I think, not that they're banking on, but what I think will happen is that if you're doing really well, like if you're in Atlantic City or Vegas doing well at Texas Hold'em, you start off with a couple $100 and you have a couple $1,000, and somebody raises you like 25, and you're just like, I'm not even looking at my cards because $25 means nothing to me right now. Because like people will be like that have even $10,000 worth of OMI. When there's 20 X's, they have $200,000 worth of OMI. Like, yeah, I'll put in like $3,000 worth of OMI, and like you got enough people doing that, which will happen. They'll just be like, yeah, I'll gamble. They're gambleholics. And again, that's the other thing that I don't, that I do see as maybe potentially not good for some people, is that I've seen people, my friend Ahmed used to own a stationery store. And he says there was one guy that came in, he used to come in all the time. And he actually won $10,000 on a scratch off.
Okay.
And he walked out of that stationery with none of it, because he would just be, all right, give me one of this, give me one of this, $100. And it just, how on earth you do that, I have zero idea. But it's that addiction. Like, how many people, I don't know how big sports betting is in Canada, but there's so many people that I used to work with, the people I used to know, they'd be like, yeah, I'm putting this much money on this game, on this Super Bowl, on DraftKings. Like, yeah. And people almost get enjoyment out of saying like, yeah, I lost like $800. Yeah, I lost $2,000. That's nothing. The other day I lost $3,500. Like, and people get like it, and that will happen here. That will happen in the Veveverse. That will happen with raffles. Good for us, but yeah, that's, people won't care because they'll just that chance of winning.
I do worry about the especially for you, because I love you, but like you said, you do have the addictive personality a little bit. I do worry what impact that is going to have on people. Yeah, Real NFT says it's called Play Till You Lose. Yes, it is. It is called Play Till You Lose. Also, shout out to Ginferno and everyone that just followed me. I followed you all back right away.
Oh, very good.
I'm a man of my word. But yeah, I do worry about that. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Like, Puddin' Cheeks put up an interesting point. Like, maybe you'll be able to buy raffle tickets, and like each ticket is like X amount of OMI or whatever, and then like you get back, I don't know, like a percentage of it or something. Yeah, it'll be interesting because you gotta try your best to discourage degen behavior, because like it's gonna cost money for people, and it could get pretty ugly pretty quickly. But yeah, it is interesting. I do think that they're going to add in a lot of value propositions to burn OMI, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on that. I think it's very easy to say OMI is a crap coin. it's got nothing going for it when it doesn't have anything going for it. Because you're right. And I will say to you honestly, like OMI is fairly valued right now because there's nothing going on with it. But I think once all of those things start to get added on, you'll start to realize very quickly, what is coming for it. And at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of calling any crypto bear market proof because, and shout out to Cavell Anderson. I mean, he makes great content as well. Sometimes controversial and we have our issues and whatever, but he's he's good at digging into things and, smart guy with what he finds. And, he's called the coin bear market proof several times. I don't know that it's bear market proof or even resistant. I would say that the bigger argument is that you don't need people to give a crap about crypto to give a crap about Veve. And because you don't need people to give a crap about Veve, as long as the utility for OMI is enabled on the app, then the OMI token will always be successful regardless of crypto market conditions, because OMI in effect becomes a stable coin at that point to purchase and sell collectibles on the app. But because it's deflationary, it will become increasingly more valuable over time. So what I always tell people when people are like, well, like, how do you convince people to buy OMI? I show them Veve. That's how I convince people to buy OMI.
What I'm going to do here, Mr. Pags says that Spider-Man won't hit $1 million, and to NFT that screenshot. So I took a picture. I'm going to make an NFT, and if Spider-Man does hit $1 million, he will buy the NFT that I make for 50,000. So you're on, Pags. I don't see how it can't not, with again people paying hundreds of thousands for pet rocks and for whatever. Spider-Man. There's somebody
so $1 million listing, or there needs to be $1 million sale of the Spider-Man.
I would say $1 million sale, because people can go and they could this could do that this year, but I would say $1 million sale, because just because the floor is $1 million doesn't mean that people have bought. At 100,000 there was confirmed floor sales at like 68 and 78, something like that, but I don't think anyone actually bought for 100K. But yeah, I like I said, I'll take that bet. And if it does, and he didn't give me a time frame, but if it doesn't by the year 2025, I will
donate it.
Yeah, I'll donate. I'll just donate 50K if it doesn't.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll just donate 50K wherever.
I love that.
So
yeah, so I mean, I think it's really interesting, and like I said, like I just tell people, like, you don't need to convince people to buy the OMI token. You need to convince them to use the Veve app, and if they're in Veve, they're using OMI, and that's what I tell people. Like, Veve can have 100 million users, and the OMI token could never have more than the 170,000 holders it has right now, and the OMI token will still be successful. And that's what people don't understand. They don't relate it to one another. But once that happens, like, it's just going to be so obvious, and people are going to be like, damn, should have listened to you sooner. Like, I have people now who I've told about this, like friends of mine who I told about this project like 6 months ago, and they're like, oh, like, how's that thing going again that you told me about? And like, because they saw my year in review video, and like, by all standards, Veve and the OMI token drastically underperformed in 2021. Like, drastically underperformed. The OMI token, with all of the catalysts that were coming for it and what was supposed to unroll in the Veve app, like, we should have been double digits, like 10 cents plus in 2021. But just all the delays and stuff from the catalysts is what slowed it down. So that will 100% happen this year. And my friends are starting to realize now, like, I don't go out of my way to convince people of anything anymore. Like, if you want to believe that gems aren't valuable because they're not a real dollar, I don't sit here anymore and explain for 10 minutes how the money transmitter license is coming, how I know people that are using the cash out function, that have tested it, and like, I don't care. Like, okay, that's your belief, that's fine. I'll go with it. That's cool. Like, when it comes, and it is coming, tell me the next piece of FUD. And if it's genuinely a concern, we'll talk about it. And if it's not, everyone's entitled to their opinion at the end of the day. Yeah. Like, I'm not here to be a jester and entertain you. I'm here to give you the information that I know. And if you find it valuable and you agree with it, you don't. And if you don't, that's totally okay too. Everyone should form their own opinion and make their own investment decisions. If you don't want to invest in OMI right now, don't invest in OMI, right? Like, that's fine. I'm in OMI. Randy's in OMI. We understand it. 90% of the people in the chat that are here right now that have OMI understand it. And if you're one of those people that wants to be that guy, that's cool. No sweat off my back, right? Like, you know, you won't be at the party, and that's fine. You don't have to come, or you know what, you can come to the party if you want, and we can talk about it. So,
I don't even. I love how I don't even have to check Bitforex anymore. I got a Patreon member sent me a text message that we just hit 0.008 again. We were at like 8.1. We went down, and now we're back up again. Let's get this bread.
And I'm assuming you're not taking any profits right now. If it
No, I the only time I might take, and it wouldn't be profit. It's just when the tax bill comes due, and I got to say, hey, you know what? I need to pay that. I was thinking about maybe selling an NFT for it, but I was like, well, I have a lot more OMI than NFTs, and I now have a lot.
So I have to ask you a question about that, because obviously I live in Canada, so it's different in the States, and it might be different state by state. But what are you paying taxes on if you haven't sold any OMI?
Well, it was taking profits from Tesla this year and my Pokemon cards.
Oh, okay. Because people, I always hear some people saying like they're gonna, and I'm like, you haven't made any money. Like, what do you like? Are you getting taxed on the unrealized gains of your crypto? I was like, oh my god.
No, although, excuse me. I don't want to get too political, but a couple of really idiotic people that I think there are idiots on both sides of the aisle, right and left, but two idiotic people that happen to be, I'll just call them politicians. I won't even say who they are. I won't even say what party they're from. Now, again, they phrased it in a very good way. They say that, last year is like, hey, listen, during the pandemic, when people lost their homes, people lost their jobs, billionaires increased their wealth exponentially. They made billions, they made hundreds of billions, whatever it is. And it's like, and they're not paying taxes on it. They need to be taxed on that because that money can be used for this and that. And that was phrased in a very good way. But they wanted to tax unrealized gains from their stocks, from crypto. I was like, but they don't explain that to people. They're trying to manipulate it. Thank God some people, or a lot of people, see through that. And once you say like, well, actually, they're trying to tax you on money that you don't technically have. They're trying to tax you on money that you haven't sold yet. So thank God that did not pass. But there are some people that really wanted to say like, oh, hey, Chavez, you made $500,000 this year. You need to pay taxes on that. The fudge I do. That is like, I'm all about freedom. Government is the most ridiculous place of misallocation of capital. Why on earth would you take from people that have demonstrated extraordinarily good use of allocation of capital and then give it to the government, which has like the worst track record in allocation of capital? That makes the most nonsensical sense like in the world. Anyway, outside of my tirade here. Sorry, a little bit passionate about that.
I love it, man. I love
it. There is but yeah, it's because I like $500,000 went through my accounts this year from Pokemon and Tesla and all my aging receivables from my old business. So it's gonna be like $100,000 tax bill. I was like, oh, it's gonna, yeah, I'm gonna hate myself. But I will.
Can you like, I don't know how it works in the States. Like, can you defer that and let OMI go up like an extra 4x and then just sell a little bit of OMI just for like can you pay a penalty to defer it, or like how does that work?
Yeah, so what I could do is I could do a what's called like an extension. So instead of paying in April, I would pay in October. And then what I could do if I want to say like, hey, I can't pay all this right now. Look at my bank account. It currently has like $2,000 between both of them. And they'll say, okay, you could go on a payment plan and you can pay over, I think 6 quarters, so about a year and a half. I can go 25% here, 25% there. And by that time, I'll just, I'll pay it off. And they, a lot of people, there's like, yeah, man, but they charge you like 12% interest, which is like, well, I know it's a lot. But if OMI goes up,
but even then, like if you owe $100,000 and you pay 12% interest, it's like $12,000. If OMI 2x is in that time frame, it's
nothing.
Like,
yeah, it's nothing. So that's exactly what I would do. I would go.
I love how people are shilling citizenship to you in the chat. Bruno's like,
oh,
like I say before, that. When you hit $10 million, buy a house for $500,000 in Portugal, I'll arrange citizenship.
Well, that's the thing, because Portugal, me and Taps talked about this. Portugal doesn't have doesn't have crypto taxes. Wow. So all I would have to do is buy a place there, set up, Chavez trading whatever in LLC, and then that's it. I live there for more than half the year, and I could stream from there. It's fine. I take planes. Portugal, the Azores. If you have never been there, it's really, really good. It's really, really fun. It's beautiful there.
That's crazy. Also, I just want to let you know, if you're adding me right now and your profile is private, I can't add you back. It's not because I'm not trying to add you back, but that's something to keep in mind. If your profile is private, people can't search for you and they can't add you as friends. So I appreciate you following me, but unfortunately, I would love to follow you back. I just can't while your profile is private.
Did you see who else's profile is private? Steph Curry, basketball player.
Way.
Yeah. So
I saw a picture of him on Twitter, and I saw someone talking about it. But when the profile is private, that lends a little bit more credibility to it, because they're not trying to scam you out of anything. They're private, right? So like usually it's public people that are like, hey, I'm so-and-so, like join my Telegram or whatever, like send me stuff. Like this is interesting. So, well, what does your gut tell you? Because we saw Rudy Gobert in the last AMA. I mean, the NBA is a small community, right? They talk, Steph Curry, he already owns is it a Bored Ape that he owns?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
he owns a Bored Ape or a CryptoPunk. I can't remember which one. But yeah, it's interesting to see them come in, and you have to remember too at the same time, like, and that's the thing, like people that buy Bored Apes for $500,000, how many collectibles can you buy on Veve for $500,000, right? Like, you want to talk about R2D2 being like expensive right now? You can buy 60 R2D2s with $500,000.
That's so much.
You know what I mean?
So like, broken.
And apparently there was a run on some of the comic books the other day. Apparently like a whale group came in and swept up, like, apparently that's part of the reason why Marvel Comics #1 jumped up so high, and like the Spider-Man and whatever. Like apparently like there was allegedly a whale group that just swept up a bunch of them. So you have to remember, like, as these funds and as these groups of people start to come in, and as bringing money into the app becomes easier, like there are hedge funds or there are corporations that have $200 million, and they're like, hey, we want to invest them in NFTs. What should we invest in them? Could you imagine like a $200 million influx of money onto Veve buying collectibles? We only have $90 million in gems on the app right now. You're now doubling that by one company, and 200 million isn't even that much for some of these companies as well, right? Like these big hedge funds and stuff that are looking to diversify.
Yeah, and again, I think Mr. Pags by himself swept the floor of the Journey into Mystery Commons the other day. They're like $40, and they were $60, and he bought like 60 of them, like on stream. I was like, oh my god, Pags is going crazy. He's got a tight.
That guy's crazy, man. I mean, big ups to him for what he does. I will say this publicly, because the only thing that concerns me, and I would love to get his thoughts at some point. Maybe it's a conversation for another night, because I know if we get Pags on here, it'll be another 4-hour conversation, and it's already approaching midnight for me. But I'd love to have a conversation with Pags again. I'd be interested to hear his thoughts, and maybe we can have like a whole collectible round table at some point. But what happens when, because he buys the lowest mints that are publicly available, what happens when the mints that are lower than the ones that he's purchased become publicly available? You know what I mean? Because like they hold back the first 40, but it's to do like giveaways and things like that. Like it's not like all of them go to the licensor and something. So like, let's say they give away the 30 to the 39 to the community. Like, does his 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 become less valuable? And I'm not saying that as a slight against him. I love what he's doing and I love his passion, but I do wonder like what the ramifications will be of that. Owning the lowest mint, but not actually having it be the lowest mint. So that's why for me, I personally don't chase mints. A, I don't have the resources to capital that he has. And B, to me, I'm just fortunate enough. I considered like, hey, just being able to own the collectible is good enough for me. So
yeah, no, same. I don't know, like, but that was part of the reason why I was like, okay, number 47, Cigarette Captain America. I knew the people that had number 41 through 45, and number 46 wasn't there, but it's like, okay, well, what happens if, like you said, does it become less? And I think anything under 100 is still a 2-digit one, and it'd be fine. Those be really good.
I think people, as time goes on, too, are going to associate different value with different things, right? Like for instance, like you said, anything that's a 2-digit is going to be valuable. But is it valuable because it's a 2-digit because it has less than 3 digits? Or is it only the 40s that are valuable? And then is a 50 only half as valuable as a 40?
No,
and just like, like for me, it's just like, that's, I guess, where I become the boomer and I'm like, I don't know if mid number matters that much, but like maybe you have some thoughts on it. I am curious to hear
Yeah,
your perspective.
depending on what it was, the rarity, the sub 100 did for at least Marvel and DC, and Disney as well. There will be a formula for what the sub 100 should go for,
Gotcha.
and then a sub 50 usually has another premium added on top of that. So like let's say the commons are something for like $100 for somewhere. Well, okay, the sub 100s would be $1,000. It's 10x the floor for the common, and then the sub 50 would be another 3x that, and that's how you're able to tell what is undervalued. And again, that's a general rule.
Okay.
But that is the pattern that I have noticed.
Now, is that a general rule because we've made it a rule, or is that like, does that follow any? I guess that wouldn't be a thing in physical collecting, regardless, right?
That is just what the data shows right now.
Okay, so so really it's just a model that's become a best practice that people are following, but there's no like tried and true like this is the rule. It's just kind of, hey, this is what works.
It's just what have, and it's so funny how the math works out that they're not trying to do this. It's just the secret rare has about 2.5x. The sub 100 sells for about 2.5x what the floor is, and but across all rarities, that sub 50 is usually 3x of what the normal sub 100. So it's across all of them, but across all of the rarities, there's the sub 100 will be like 10x or 4x, for the ultra rare. But it took a long time to find. but
so if someone was to have sold, hypothetically, just like in a vacuum, a number 72 ultra rare Loki alligator at $750 when the floor was like, I don't remember what it was.
It was like
would that have been like a good sale technically as per the technical?
No, you sold it for undervalued. Because it was at like 250, I think, and so it would. So when you asked me at the time when it was like 175. And you lowered it, I think, because it was 800 something, and then you lowered it to 750.
I lowered it to or it might have been 799 that I lowered it to.
You lowered it there, and at the time when it was 175, it wasn't worth the 850. But when it was 250 and you were at 7, so I was like, yes, it should be $1,000, and okay, click. So I bought it.
Dang.
Yeah.
Randy pulled one over on me, guys. You heard it here first, live on stream. And that's like for me, like I said, like I understand the value of collectibles now, so I'm very careful about that. And I'll be honest, and I'll say this publicly, I still love you, but I could give a crap less about the alligators. So I have been trying to unload that one on you specifically for a while because I knew if it was going to leave my hands, I wanted it to go to someone that was going to value it and had a thing going. And I knew it was a sub 100, so I knew it would have some additional value. So I'm not losing sleep over it being an undervalued sale at the time. But yeah, for me, like this whole hey, what is a sub 100? That's not my expertise, right? I can run market cap calculations. I can tell you something's undervalued relative to other things. But when it comes to this whole sub 100 or last mint or whatever, for me, I'll give a perfect example. Someone got offered a significant amount of money for a certain partner statue. Was it public? Was it on Twitter? Can I say this? Do you remember?
Which one are you talking about? The first one, at that weekend?
Not the 1901, the other one. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's public.
Okay. So, anyways, someone got offered a lot of money for something. They didn't take it, and I thought that they were crazy. I'll leave it at that. It wasn't made public, so it's not my business to kind of say mint number. But what I will say is, I own, and I'm not selling it, so this is not a shill thing. This is not hey, buy it. But I own a 1953 partner statue, which sounds, see your face, you're like, oh, damn, he did it.
So the reason why I think that, and this is how my monkey brain works, I just that's the year Playboy was made. And that's the only reason. And I know there's multiple other reasons, but my mind first went to, that's the year Playboy was made. Every time I hear 1953. So I'm sorry. Keep going.
But it's just so when you look at it, right? Because my wife got this collectible, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And it sounds like it's the most you're like, oh my god, it's got to be one of those years, right? It's got to be the year, but it's not quite one of the years when Disney opened, and it's not Walt's birthday. And like, so you start reaching, right? Like you have this mint that you want it to be valuable. So I'm like, I'm out here like, oh, like, well, you know, maybe because of XYZ, like it's, and like, so like, yeah, maybe someone will eventually be like you, who's got a bunch of money, that's like, Playboy, I'll buy it. Like who knows, right? And if you want to have that conversation off stream, we'll have the conversation. But like for the most part, it's really not worth more than an 1800 or a 2000. You know what? Like it's just a mint that sounds cool, but it doesn't really play into anything. So that's where I struggle with associating value with mint. So like even Andre, when I helped him buy a secret rare Spider-Man, like he got a 0862, which is August 1962. And like that to him, he's like, yeah, this makes sense. This is the Spider-Man thing. Like, and I was like, okay, yeah, I see that. But like, I see people post on Twitter all the time, and it just makes me laugh. People are like, hey, I have mint number 7,864. And like, it's valuable because of this. And like, that's kind of cool. But like, is there even a Disneyland in New York? You know what I mean? Like,
no, there's a Disney store.
You know what I mean? And so like, you try so hard for like someone to be like, and I will say publicly, if anyone wants to give me like $500,000 for my 1953, hit me up. I will be more than happy to sell it to you. If you want to give me $100,000 for it, I'll be more than happy to sell. But to me, and I'll be honest about this as well, I just don't see the value in it. At least not right now. Now, do I think the partner statue at floor will hit $100,000 one day? Yes, I do. But to have that mint number be that much more valuable, and to have that person offer the amount of money that they did, which unfortunately I can't say, but it blew my mind that this person said no to this amount of money. Regardless, even if you have money, this was still an amount of money that you don't say no to for the amount of money. So
yeah. So I would say like that there was a Disney store in Long Island. There's a Disney store in New York, in New York City, but in Long Island there's like Adventureland. There's no Disney in Long Island.
So maybe I can sell my collectible to the Disney store in New York. And a New York Yankees fan will come in and be like, I really want this.
I got really toasty one day with my friend Lida. We used to serve together, and he was still stationed in New Jersey, McGuire Air Force Base at the time. He came to New York because we wanted to go see the Harry Potter store. And we went to a bar first, but there was a Harry Potter potion making bar that you could do, but we decided to pregame, and we got really drunk. And I've got it in my mind that, because there was I don't know do you ever watch Harry Potter? Have you ever seen or read it? Or you're not that?
I've read the Harry Potter books, yeah, but this is okay, so back in the day, yeah.
So the Rowena Ravenclaw, she has a tiara, and that's a Horcrux. And they had one there that was used in the movie. And I was just like, I was really drunk, and I was going in front of I was like, I want it. So I've got it in my head that, hey, you know what? Probably one of these, you know, people that don't run the place, they're just there, like, hey, I'll you know, pay like $1,000 for that. It's like, it's not really for sale. And I go to her and I pull like the best Emily Gilmore, and I was just like, everything is for sale. And then she's like, yes, sir. So she goes to her manager, and I was like, oh, am I really going to get this? And the manager's like, listen, that's not for sale. That's from like corporate. And I was like, $10,000 for that, and I'll slip you $1,000 for yourself. And she's thinking, and she's like, I don't think I can do that. I was like, 5,000 for yourself. And my friend was like, do you really have this much money? I was like, crypto right now, but for the most part, yeah. So she actually does a call to, like, I don't know if it was corporate or if it was like the district manager or whatever. They got yelled at. Like, she got yelled at on the phone, and she's like, yeah, no. And so I felt really bad. And I was like, yeah, man, like, I really did want that. And she's like, yeah, this would go for like $300,000 on eBay. And I was just like, yeah, I figured it would be something like that, because that's a prop that they use in the movie, and the actual Horcrux. I was like, oh my god. But there will be people like that will want. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that. There's one documentary on Michael Jackson where he goes into like a store in New York. There's these stores. One of them is called Lloyd's, where I got Daffy. And there's these stores that they have giant, amazing things in there. That's like a $12,000 chess set because it's made of jade or it's made of whatever. Wow. And they have like $180,000 chandelier. And you see Michael Jackson go in there. He's like, all right, I'm going to get this. Like, they have 2 sets of this. I want to get this. And again, he's got, big FU money. But even if you don't have that, you're going to get some people that is going to be really toasty one night. Maybe myself is be like, I want a pony. I'm gonna buy all the Salinas. Something like that. It's gonna be. I forget what we were talking about, but 1953. Okay, yeah.
Dude, I love you, man. I can't wait to meet you in person. We're just gonna
I
have
love you too, man.
we're gonna have such good times, man. Just the life that you live. Like, I would just love to be a fly on the wall for like some of these adventures, man. It's incredible. No, so like I said, like at the end of the day, like Henry brought up a good point. Like, and I think he said it at like 11:48. It's been a little while now. I'm gonna see where it was.
Oh, it's 11. That's 11 minutes.
Oh, yeah, no.
So we've gone too far.
No, we've gone too far. Like, but yeah, so he was basically saying that not everyone is going to be able to own the first of the publicly available. So like, even if mints lower are released, and granted, like once again, Henry, like I respect the hustle, man. Like, I big ups to you for making the moves that you have. It's just not my move. Like, it's just not the move I would make, but it doesn't make it the wrong move, right? If anything, it probably makes it the right move. So,
yeah.
Good on you for doing that, and obviously getting those low edition sets. It will definitely pay some dividends when bigger whales come into the community and are looking to get that done. So no, it's interesting, the whole mint conversation. And like I said, I'm by no means kind of an expert on it. I just know that lower mint mean good money, and you know what I mean? Like, it's whatever.
So there has been a little bit of a dip in certain things. I had my friend Joe was like, hey man, if I just give you like $1,500 hairs, can you just buy stuff for me on the app? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I bought a common Steamboat Willie, and I bought like 2 Mr. Fantastics, and that equaled about 1,500. Nice. But the common Steamboat Willies have dipped. I don't know if you have gems stacked, or like, if things dip, what are you most excited to get?
I FOMO'd into a Jim Lee Nightwing yesterday, which was not. Yeah, it was.
That was probably at like 5,800 though, wasn't it?
Yeah. So like, I bought it at 3,600, and I think it's just under 4,000 right now. Like, okay. But it had a very thin floor up to like $5,000, and it only has a 2.5% fee. And I was looking at it, and I was like, you know what? Like, the floor is actually really thin up to like 8.8K. So I FOMO'd into that a little bit. I had gems on my account, and of course they had to be spent. So I don't know. I was just like, Series 1 FA 750 editions, like, like, could be worth something eventually. Spoke to some people. They were like, yeah, it's definitely undervalued. So I was like, you know what? We'll give it a shot. And picked up a Fantastic Four #1 ultra rare comic book for under $1,000.
Really?
Yeah, like three or 4 days ago. I think it's up at like 1,300 now. I mean, it hasn't done anything crazy, but if you look at the Secret Rare, which is at like $18,000, which is probably still undervalued, and consider the fact that the ultra rare only has 4x the edition size, I would say that collectible will be. That was not a flip. Like, the Nightwing was more of a flip. The comic book, I was just like, hey, I'm going to buy it because it's drastically undervalued. But I don't know that I'm keeping an eye on anything specific other than, like I said, the Sue Storm common. Like, if you have a couple bucks and you're just looking for like an entry point into something on Veve, it's good. But the other thing you have to keep in mind too, and I talked about this in my video today, like the 8.5% fee can be a killer when you're looking to make a profit, right? Yeah, so that's something that you need to keep in mind when you're buying certain things. Like, the Nightwing was a good purchase because the 2.5% market fee means that like I probably could have, like, at one point it was up to like 50 or not 52. It was up to like $4,700 or something yesterday. And then it's dropped a little bit. But like, I probably could have listed it for $4,500 and made $1,000. Like, even with the market fee, it would have been $25, right? So like, I could have done it, but I was like, you know what? No, like, I actually think that this could be undervalued and hasn't had a crazy run up. Like, it was significantly undervalued like a month ago. Shout out to Brendan Cherry on Cherry Charts. If you guys don't have Cherry Charts, you guys should look into whether or not it's a cost you want to incur. There is an expense associated with it, but great information on tracking the historical market cap data of different collectibles, the prices of where they've closed each day. So I found it, interesting to kind of look at that. And then I looked at the Nightwing, and I bought it at like pretty much its all-time high. But I was like, you know what? Even at the all-time high, it's still undervalued. So screw it. And like, I had the gems and I bought it, and now I'm like, okay, well, that burned a $3,600 hole in my pocket. And like, like I can't believe that like I joined this project in April of 21. Like to think that like 9 months later I'd be buying like $3,600 collectibles like it's nothing. It's absurd. So yeah, I don't know. I would say that the market's definitely had quite a significant run up. So I would just be looking for the things that haven't had a run up yet, right? Like I would be looking at the charts and looking at the collectibles. I know I gave some collectibles to my group there, and obviously see if they buy them or not. Obviously, it's up to you. And obviously, like I said earlier in the stream, like I always give the disclosure if I own something, right? Like, hey, this is what I bought, and like I'll even tell people like, hey, I bought the Nightwing to flip it, so that you guys know like I have a vested interest in you buying it so that I can sell it at some point. Don't buy a Nightwing if you don't want a Nightwing. I still believe that it's undervalued at its current price. And
it'll definitely go up a lot.
You know what I mean? So you either buy it or you don't buy it. But I think that that's always important as like an influencer or people that make content. Like I see on Twitter and like it's holy cow. That's crazy. It's exhausting to go to scroll through Twitter sometimes, and everyone's like, "This is going to the moon," and this is going to, and it's just like, okay, like everyone that just owns something just talks about it, right? So like when I make posts about collectibles now, it's like, hey, I think this, and I either own it or I don't own it. So then people can make their own, informed decision.
Yeah. I think that I messed up. I forget what I was buying also, but it was at King Mavs Forever on Twitter, or King Mavs on the app. When he was paying, the five at the time was a $5,000 fee to be a permanent member on the fridge.
Yeah.
He paid in NFTs, and part of his payment was 2 Nightwings, and I sold them, man. I sold them at like when they were like 2,200, 23, and then I was like, I saw the other day at 5,800. I was like, man, I messed up so hard, but we all have our follies.
But you know what though? Like you got them for free, and you know what I mean? Like you sold them and made, $2,200 each on them or whatever. So like it's really not like, it's really not a loss at that point, right? Like I said, like you have to be okay with never selling at the top because you're literally never going to sell at the top.
Yeah.
Like that's, now with certain collectibles, I mean, there is an exception. If you buy something that's like very specific, like I said, like I use the Lincoln Design Co. like skateboards. Like if you got that on the drop or whatever, but like if you bought that 24 hours after the drop, like you will never sell.
Yeah, it would have.
So what Henry is saying is that the Nightwing is valuable. Okay, good. So, you know what's crazy actually? When I went to buy it that night, there was like a 1.0. It was like a 1.0, right? So like it was like just above the 2-digit threshold at floor. And I clicked it, and right as I went to buy it, someone else bought it. And I was like, damn it. And then I ended up getting like a 300 edition at floor, which is still good.
Yeah, it's still really good.
I was like, damn, like, could you imagine? It was like $100 cheaper too. So I would have got it for $3,500, and it was like a 100. I'm like, oh,
that would have been great. We sold that.
Man, it would have been great. So I mean, we'll see what happens with it. Like, I don't have it listed on the market right now or anything. I'm not in a rush to sell it, especially with what the market is doing market things right now, right? So like, who knows? Like, someone may decide that they like Nightwing, and they might sweep it up to like an $8,000 or a $10,000 floor. There's like 10 collectibles between here and $8,000. So
I mean, it'll probably get there eventually.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like
and then who knows? And the biggest issue with me is like it'll get there and I won't sell it because I'm like, I like it now. It's become a part of me. So
yeah. The stuff that I will sell eventually is the 2 Fantastic Four #1s that I have, the Secret Rares, Fantastic Four #5, the Secret Rare, and it will probably be for Pokemon. Mm. And even if those are, let's say the 2 are, even if I only get 50K out of them, which I'll probably get a lot more. Hopefully they don't announce a Pokemon for a little while. I'll give them time to appreciate. I would I would sell others for Pokemon, like kind of like sell your collection to grow it. What are some things that you would be okay liquidating for something that you really love, and what's the thing that you really love?
Oh boy. You know what? I've never been a collector. Like I know like Pokemon has always been like your thing, and I respect that. And I know that you've publicly come out and said like fire sale if Pokemon gets announced. And
yeah, I'm going hard.
It's not if, but when Pokemon gets announced at this point. But at the same time, I don't know. Like I don't know that I'm ever going to get to a point where I'm like flipping something for something that I'm like there's no IP that I'm like, oh my God, I need to have, which I guess in some ways is a fortunate position to be in because you can be a little bit more investor centric and not like, because like the problem is like getting Pokemon is going to cloud your judgment. Like 100%. It's going to cloud your judgment,
Yeah,
right? So
I know.
and so like for me at least, like Pokemon would be cool, but like if I don't get it, then I don't get it. And like that's just life and I move on with it. Whereas
Yeah,
if you don't get Pokemon, like you're gonna, sell everything to get it, right? So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know that there's a specific collectible. I think for me, it's just gonna be interesting once MTL does come in and OMI to NFT does come in. Will it make more sense from a financial perspective to be taking profits in collectibles, or will it make more sense to be taking profits in OMI, right? And like that's the advantage of being invested in both positions, is that if one is doing well and the other isn't, you can cash out of the thing that's doing well and either roll it into the thing that's not, or just take those profits, and vice versa. So, I never thought I would develop a collectible portfolio, but now that it's worth, $250,000,
It's so nuts.
which is nuts because like I'm the OMI guy, right? Like I'm like, oh, OMI's the thing that's going to do well. And like my portfolio is done like a 15x in collectibles and it's done 30% in OMI, right? So it's like 1500% versus 30%. It's like it's night and day.
Yeah.
So but I think when OMI to NFT comes, I will liquidate some of my duplicates at that time for more OMI, assuming that OMI hasn't done crazy things. But we'll just have to. You don't know until you get there, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. I'm not in a position today where I feel obligated to sell anything.
Yeah.
If the opportunity arose to, like, let's say the opportunity arose and no one would offer this at this point because OMI's at 0.8 and Walt's at like 30K. But if someone was like, I'll give you 5 million OMI for a Walt, I would probably take it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like to me, I'd be like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then
I mean,
I'd still
around,
have one Walt and I'd have a bunch more OMI. Because
I mean, that's around the price. Like that's like not even a discount, right? Because
well,
5 million.
it's dipped to 30K, so it's probably not a fair comparison at this
Oh,
point. But like
yeah.
this morning when I woke up and OMI was 0.7 and Walt was at 40K, it might have been more of a fair comparison. And if someone
Yeah. It
offered it
only
to me,
lost like
like
5K.
I would have been like, yeah, I'll do that. And that's with knowing that Walt's probably going to go to 100K by the end of this year. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I still think OMI will do better than a 3x this year. So for me, that would be a smart financial decision. But would I want to give up that 30% discount to sell it at this point? No. Like even if OMI pumps and I only have the bag that I have, I'm still comfortable with my
Wow.
position. But I will be looking to expand it once OMI to NFT comes in.
So I mean, I'm very curious. Like and let's say, well, I mean, let's say Walt goes to 250. Let's say it goes right here from $30,000 to 250,000. So it's roughly was that eight? Let's say 8x. Let's say 8x's. Even if you take a hit on this 30,000, and then say you only get, let's say you only get like, let's say a couple percent off. Let's say you get $24,000 dollars for it, and you give 20% off, 24,000 in OMI. Well, you think that OMI won't outperform that? Like you think like that because that's only it would have to be a 9x, which would be like 6.3 cents.
Yeah.
Or six. I don't think it will just do that. Like would you take? I mean for me, I mean I'll Moon Boy, I think 30 cents, but even if it doesn't, it gets to 10 cents, which I think is very, very easily doable. You're still outperforming the Walt, and you could buy that back. And that's if Walt gets to 250,000, which I think it can.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. I think that the value proposition of owning a scarce grail outweighs the amount of OMI that it may generate in the short term. I'm still more bullish on OMI long term as a value proposition, but like there will only ever be, if we're talking about Walt, like 4,300, or I guess 42, because Veve held some back. There'll be like 4,240 people that can ever hold a Walt. And there's some whales that own dozens, if not even more than that. So even less, because they're not planning on getting rid of them anytime soon. So, it's an interesting thought experiment. And I think, yeah, the possibility is definitely there. Like I said, if OMI was to, a fair value for OMI was to come into my lap, but like my goal would be to get to 20 million OMI. So like if I could, definitely if I could sell it for 6 million OMI, because I'd go like over 20 million OMI with like the 14.5 I own now. Then yeah, I would do it. Even if I knew long term it may be the bad decision, I would do it just because like there's like a psychological hang up with like having 20 million OMI for math purposes. I like the number. It's easier to quantify, and like it also bumps up my retirement by 25%. Which is really the goal at the end of the day, right? Like anyone can sit here and tell you, like, I love collectibles and I love like at the end of the day, my goal is to retire. Like that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Like to spend more time with the people that I love. Like, and if you want to, whatever, that's fine. So if that'll get me there quicker, then I would definitely do that. And especially because I have 2 Walts, liquidating one wouldn't be the end of the world. If I only had one, I would probably hold it. Because you can never quantify social capital as it pertains to fair market value. Because for me, a fair market value for Walt by the end of this year could be anywhere between 50 and 100K. Like that to me would be fair market value probably. But at the same time, if big influencers, sports personalities, actors, actresses, whatever come in, like that's pennies to them, right? Like they don't even notice if that disappears from their bank account, if 100K. So like, it's not inconceivable that we could far surpass that. Like to me, that's the bear case scenario. So like, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I think right now, my positions aren't worth equal. Like my OMI or my Veve position is worth about 2.5 times what my OMI position is worth. But I feel like I'm fairly well diversified. If there comes a time when that's not the case, and let's say the collectibles go up to 500K and my OMI still hasn't gone up, I would probably then look at that point at cashing out some of the collectibles and transitioning it into OMI. But right now, I feel like I'm in a pretty good position for either scenario.
I remember this tweet of this one guy who was 25 and he got a Bored Ape when it was like a couple grand, maybe, not a ton. And a bunch of his friends are saying like, hey, listen, you can get, 300,000-400,000 for it, sell it and do whatever, make other investments. And he said that, listen, for him, I guess because he's still, pretty young, that being able to go on these parties with these rock stars, being able to go like party with like Eminem and JD Khaled and just that to him, that memory, those memories and those fun times are worth more than selling and having hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think that, and again, my hope to do this with utility, like if you have Secret Storm or Secret Alligator Loki, you get to do this and this with me. And not that I'm as cool as Eminem or DJ Khaled, but the hope would be to, my point is there's going to be people like that are just going to hodl, and it's not for the money, it's just because of what they can do with it. I don't know about stacking gems. I mean, I have 4K right now just in case, but that's not enough for what I want to do with Pokemon. It's all about starting over. Like, would you ever consider doing that? Would you ever consider like starting over, saying like, hey, all the collectibles I have now, I'm going to pretend I don't have them, make like another account, and then just start over and see what you can do? It's like a fun experiment.
I mean, I feel like I'm already at that point because I never have any liquidity to buy anything else anyways. So like, I feel like the only thing that generates gems for me is selling things in the market, which starting on a new account would be, I mean, I guess I could make like a flipping account just for fun. I know some people in the community have done that as well. I could do that. I mean, yeah, I'd be willing to explore that. It's just Veve takes a lot of time to do well. It doesn't take a lot of time to do, but if you want to do it well, it takes time. You have to constantly be in the market, constantly be monitoring trends, you constantly have to be, and so I do that. I do talk to people, I get information, I do research, I do all that. But like I don't feel like I have a ton of time for fun right now. Like with a wife and a kid and a job and all, like it's tough to balance. Hey, like this seems like the thing I want to do in my downtime when it's what I do regardless. Like when I have free time and there's something to talk about, like I already go and make a Veve video, or I make an OMI token video, or I interact with my group and I talk to people and get to know them better and have lives and do events and stuff like. So like I already do all that, right? So like to then do an additional group, or not a group, but like an additional account to just like make like a bunch of collectibles, like maybe if it was fun, like if it was a community event and it was like a defined start and defined end, like everyone starts with X amount of liquidity and we do whatever. Like, yeah, maybe I would do that. But to just do it, like I have 40 sets, 200 and whatever collectibles. Like if I need gems, I'll just sell something that I think has had a run up and accept the fact that it's likely going to continue to run afterwards, and just not look back, and it is what it is. So
yeah, no, I feel you 100% on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just somebody mentioned in the chat that Ultra Spider-Man went down to 10K or 10.8K, 4K. So what I did was I noticed that the sub 100s were still at 34,000. I was like, okay, if I can go and take my sub 100 and sell for 28,000, net 25K, I could go buy two of them and then net the difference. Net like an additional $4,000, which would be good. It'd be cool. It'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, and it's interesting to see because we talk about flipping, and I don't have the cojones anymore to do it. It scares me just crapless. Like it's bad. But a buddy of mine got Walt for, I want to say it was like 3K. He didn't get on the drop. He bought it, it was selling out, bought it for 3K, sold it for about 26K. So made like 21,000, but had 24,000 gems on his account. Thought about holding on to the gems and was like, they're not working for me. And went out and bought, God, what did he buy? He bought 2 Superman and the ultra rare Spider-Man, the FA Spider-Man.
Nice.
And it ran up, the partner statue ran up to like $38,000-$39,000 today. So I texted him and I was like, how you feel about that decision now, bud? And he's like, honestly, I feel good about it because short term, I think the value proposition of Superman based on its value and the Spider-Man is higher than what the partner statue is. And I admired him for that confidence, right? Like, and the other benefit, like there's levels to it, right? Like the Superman only has a 2.5% market sale fee. So like if you're unloading things, you have gems and you're buying things that only have 2.5% market fee.
That's a good call.
Now your money is going 6% longer. So when it 2x's, he's only giving up 2.5% instead of 8.5%. So like, I thought about it and I was like, it's interesting. And I was like, I own 2 Walts. Should I sell one and do the same thing? And then I was like, you know what? I'm comfortable in the position that I'm in. Why do I need to put myself in a position of discomfort? And so like, that's where I'm kind of sitting at with everything. I'm not comfortable enough with losing out short term, knowing that I could have just held and made more. Now, could I sell and make more? That's conceivable, but I don't feel like I'm in a position where I need to take that risk with at least those collectibles that I'm holding. But I feel like you did kind of the opposite of that. You went all in on a very specific collectible that you think has that value, and that you associate personal value with. And I respect that. But I don't know that I'm in, kind of circling back to that Pokemon conversation, I don't know that I'm in a position where I have that specific collectible or thing that, now, if I could sell off, like, and here's the problem, right? Like, I've seen the Master Collector program. I personally don't think it's that valuable. I mean, I get points for like lottery tickets for whatever. I really don't think it's going to increase your odds enough to really make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
But I'm still holding 40 sets. Could I liquidate probably 25 of the 40 sets that I'm holding to free up liquidity for other blue chips? Probably. But then there's that like little like the devil and the angel sitting on each shoulder battling each other. Like I'm still hesitant to do that because I'm like, what happens if there are benefits? What happens if holding a certain amount of sets gives me early access to land in the Veve-verse? So like I'm kind of in, because we're in this state of the unknown, we're venturing into uncharted territory. I'm just going to maintain the status quo, and then if an opportunity arises, I will take it at that point. But I know that I could sell a Walt at 40K and people will call me a paper hand for selling Walt at 40K. I can sell Walt at 100K and they'll call me a paper hand. So like, I don't know what the correct decision is right now, but I'm excited to find out kind of how things turn out. So
Yeah, no, same. So there's really, nothing like you don't have like a Pokemon. There's nothing that you just love so much that you would consider selling just because you love it.
I wouldn't sell the Superman, or at least I'd hold one Superman for sure.
Mhm.
And I would probably always hold one partner statue. I will never sell one Elsa because I'm going to give it to my daughter.
Yeah.
And then other than that, yeah, like I'm not a crazy nostalgic person, but like the DeLorean was like the first drop that I got on the app. So like maybe I would never sell the DeLorean just cause.
Yeah.
But overall, like, yeah, like if Pokemon comes on, like the problem is like it's not that I wouldn't sell something. Thanks for hanging out, Henry. Appreciate you, brother.
Would you
It's
salute with
not,
your left hand?
it's backwards, okay? It's not that I would not sell something for something else. It's by the time that something is here, you're not going to get what your holdings value's worth if you sell it, right? So like for instance, like let's say Walt is trading at $50,000 and I'm still holding one and I'm like on the fence about selling it. And then they announce Pokemon, Walt's going to drop to 25K, if not 20K. At least
I mean, that much, you think?
Oh, 100%. Dude, people are going to look at you. Like there's a bunch of yous being like, mine.
That's
like,
true. That's true.
Like, there's going to be a bunch of people that, spent a couple $1,000s on the wall that have been convinced by others to hold on to it up until this point. And then Pokemon's going to come and all logic's going to go out the window. Like same with Star Trek or Star Wars. I mean, like these certain things are going to come and these grails are going to drop. Why? Because they're the ones that have the most liquidity in it. Like you only have to sell one partners to get $40,000. You got to sell 20 collectibles to get to $40,000 if you have a bunch of other stuff, right? So it's one of those things where those will be the things that see the harshest pullback, but they're also the things that will see the quickest rebound because they're the ones that are so expensive that it's difficult to manipulate them because they have enough additions that not one or two people can just own all of them. And they'll be the ones that people understand the value in long term. So I think that's also part of the reason you see the 90 million gems sitting on people's accounts. Yeah, some people are going to cash out, and that's totally fine as well. But then there's other people sitting there going, okay, Veve, announce a Grail license so that we can load up on deals of 30 or 40%, and it will happen. It'll 100% happen. Like even 20 minutes ago, I refreshed my portfolio, and it's down $27,000 from where it was earlier in the day. But that's literally the difference of Walt going from $40,000 to $30,000 pretty much, right? Yeah. So like you will see these fluctuations. It's just short term. I try not to look at the noise. Like if I'm trying to load up on something, I'm looking for the things that are undervalued or have a chance to run up in the short term. Otherwise, you buy what you love and you hold it. And when you get to a number that's acceptable to you, you sell it.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the comic books are like if they do like an arc, like they had this arc for Kraven the Hunter for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like Civil War was like a 7-issue arc. If they have that, I will go all in on that. That was one of my favorite comic book runs like ever. Now, they won't have like the tie-ins or anything. They'll probably just have that issue run, but that would be that was so good. Or like Secret Wars, Jonathan Hickman, that'd be amazing. But yeah, so there's a couple things I would ape into, but a lot of things that I don't. Again, why did I sell Superman for Alligator Loki? Superman is like the greatest looking NFT on the app. He looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But I watched the Superman animated series and I watched Justice League and the Justice League Unlimited, but I never really connected with Superman that much, despite him being an alien raised by white people in America. Like I know what I am. I never actually connected with him that much, but I really do connect with Alligator Loki. What are we about 3.5 hours? So do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any things you want to leave?
I mean, at the end of the day, like shout out to everyone that hung out for us as long as you did. Yes. Having 300+ people, hanging out, listening to a couple of degenerates who are just spitting thoughts out about random things is pretty incredible. It's been a pretty awesome journey, and it's really just getting started. And I know a lot of you that may be watching this right now are newer to the community and are looking for more information. Obviously, continue to watch Randy's content. Follow me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter. There's a bunch of other great content creators out there. Follow them as well. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and just pick out the value versus the noise. You'll always get the haters and the people that don't understand certain things, or there are haters that bring up valid points as well. And don't be afraid to ask the question. And if someone doesn't have an answer for you, that's when you start to really question things. But I'm really excited for what this year brings. I think if the first 2 weeks of January are really any indication, we're going to have one heck of a year. And I'm very excited to see where all of this goes. And I really hope that, in 6 months from now, we can look back on this and be like, wow, OMI sub a penny, this collectible sub this, sub that, and, continue to grow and get together in person and just kind of hang out and really see where this project can take us. I mean, we're really truly still in our infancy, even with the 1.5 million active monthly users that we have. And, I think February is going to be a large month for the company. I wouldn't be surprised to see several exchange listings coming for the token, and expect to see a lot of volatility, whether that be good or bad, in the token during that period. And it's going to be fun. So
I agree. Things are, again, thanks for coming on. I know you don't have like a ton of time, where you even said that before you release a video a week because you have work and then you have a family, so I do appreciate you coming on, spending what little free time you do have. Typically, Mike, I answer every question when I'm on solo streams, but I do not want to interrupt Foster every 6 seconds when I get another comment. So we like to have a natural conversation here. But yeah, thanks for coming on, and I can't wait to party with you at some point this year. Can you guys come to the US from Canada? Is that like a...
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just like you need like 2 COVID tests, like negative COVID tests, and like all this. Like it's difficult, but it's not impossible. And I will be making an effort. I was really hoping that thing in Vegas in February was going to be happening, because I know that our group was going to have like a special party at Andre's house. We're going to do a bunch of stuff and get kind of the collectible utility aspect going for like owning a certain collectible, and like doing an event or a dinner, kind of like what you're doing with your Long Island party. So I mean, it's really just going to depend on what the travel restrictions are and stuff, and then we will explore things. And I'm just kind of looking forward to, like I said, meeting the fam in person and having the interactions, getting to know people better, and yeah.
Yeah, Sam, I'm pumped for that. I'm pumped for that. I have to, with the Long Island party, I have to see, like, if a lot of people come, I might, I might have to get a bigger venue. At least, and even for the movie theater. I mean, again, for the movie theater, it's just movie and like dinner. Probably not going to be anything crazy. So maybe like a couple people show up. But if we have like a 30-cent party, which again by the end of the year probably be that, like maybe I'll coincide the two. Maybe I'll make it a weekend. I don't know. It'd be pretty nuts.
Yeah.
But
no, I think it'll be pretty awesome, and I look forward to planning that with you and having the community involved. And yeah, we'll see where she goes.
Yeah. We'll say bye-bye to Dashi. Say bye-bye, Dashi. Goodbye. Thank you all for the super chats. I love you all.